Well, welcome everybody. Episode 24.
And guess who's here?
John.
Good to be here. Always fun.
Yeah.
Jon Peters is spending the day with us.
We just had an eventful day. I don't know if you can see back here the bending form or fixture, I guess we're calling it.
Yeah.
Had one semi-successful bend, I'd say, and then one that looks slightly more successful.
I think so. I think it's all going to work out.
Yeah. But we'll see. We're going to take that out in a couple days and see what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, John's been part of our bubble, so...
Yeah, there you go. I've been here a lot. We just finished a big project with Sauce.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago now.
Yeah, that shipped out, I think, maybe a week ago.
Yeah.
That
was a nice project. It was a lot of fun because we got to hang out.
Yeah.
But it's also a nice project to kind of be finished with.
Yeah. It had a little bit of a lingering... It lingered a little bit.
Had that aftertaste?
There's re-edits.
Yeah.
And Jeff and I had to do something really corny at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's a secret door. So at the end of it, we kind of sign off and walk through the secret door.
Yeah.
But you do what you got to do sometimes.
Let's see. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this new Clubhouse thing. It's this new social media app, I guess you would call it, where it's an audio based thing. So someone can start a room, they're calling it, and you could have multiple speakers, and then you can listen in. People can like raise their hand. So I just opened it up, and if people join in, they can actually, not that you're listening to this live, but giving you guys a rundown if you're listening. I just opened the app, I started the room, so people may join in and they can add to the conversation. Oh, here we go. Matt's in here.
Perfect.
What's up, Matt?
Where's the voice come through? Your phone or?
Yeah, well, he'd have to raise his hand.
I see.
So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to prop my phone. Oh, here we go. Matt, talk to the people. You're live on the podcast.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Matt. That's awesome.
This is our first experience with Clubhouse.
I'm excited.
Thanks for the invite.
Hey, man. You got to convince your buddy John to get on. Let's go.
That's right. Matt gave me the invite. I was like, I don't know. I have to think about anything technical. I'm always like, wait, is my daughter going to be around to help me get on this app?
This is going to be the
12-year-old
the tester.
That's right. I need a 12-year-old next to me all the time.
Yeah.
Tell me how to work these things.
That's all right.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into the podcast. If you have anything to add,
raise your
let us
hand.
know. Yeah, we'll see if anybody else joins in.
Sounds good. I'll stay on mute and just listen in. Thank you, guys.
All right, brother. Thanks for joining.
Hey, good to hear from you, Matt.
So, John, as a guest, he decided to bring in the beer of the week this week. And,
and
see
we're
it here in
pour.
front of us. What do we got?
I think we've earned it already.
Yeah, we did. Here, I'll just pass it around here. This is Twin Lights Brewing. They're right here. They're local.
It's like a new the top thing. I haven't seen one that looks like that. Usually they're like a solid plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Roberts. Oh, I've heard of them. They make the cans, I think.
So this is an IPA. It's Double Vision by Twin Lights Brewing.
It smells
and
good.
I've had it. It's good. I like it. If you like IPAs. I like that kind of, I don't know, how would you describe that color of the beer?
Amber?
Yeah, I'd say that's like a...
It's kind of cloudy, though. What do they call that?
Oh, hazy?
Yeah, kind of hazy.
That's that golden oak people love.
Pilsner oat malt, flaked oats, Chinook, Simcoe, and Mosaic hops, and a house strain of yeast. Community inspired, care, share, everywhere.
6.5% alcohol by volume.
Yeah, 2 of
Community
these
inspired.
is about as much as you can.
Yeah, these guys are local. I think the business is based out of Highlands, and then they're brewing in a couple different.
I think it's up north. I was just reading the can. I forget. Hackensack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a Bolero Snort. You ever heard of them?
No.
That's a brewery. I think that's maybe... Oh, no, okay. So this is at Elementary Brewing is where they brew it. I think they've brewed at that place, Bolero Snort.
Well,
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, gentlemen. Before we toast, well, we might be able to get a toast in there without spilling.
Pretty close. No, I spilled.
This table sees.
I like that.
It tastes mighty fine.
Yeah.
Deserved. Well deserved today.
Yeah.
That worked out well. I was impressed when I excuse me, when I saw the wood bend. I was like, wow, it's really bending.
Yeah. And it really doesn't take a whole lot of force because Rob had to push that one side all the way up to get it clipped in.
I know, and it's all it obviously all comes down to the soaking for 10 or 15 days that you.
And some of that old man strength.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to give it to Craig, Silent Mill.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been a huge help.
It's amazing how helpful people are on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's definitely a great thing. I've been going to school from you and Garrett Lund over at
Garrett, like I said, he's a beast.
Garrett's a beast. And
He's
he
a
gave
real
me
estate agent, and then he's like busting out.
yeah.
Yeah, the doors and stuff like that. Yeah.
But plus, he's a beast at the gym. The guy's like working out all the time.
Yeah, he's yoked.
So he was telling me with the undermount drawer slides for 1/2 inch, he makes the opening or the drawer 5/8 of an inch smaller than the opening.
Mm-hmm.
You use
sense.
3/4,
Yeah.
and you make it 3/8
Yeah.
smaller. I used 5/8, and I made it 1/2 of an inch. But when you read the instructions, or if you go online, there's anytime I get into millimeters, I just sort of check out.
Kevin Pardelli, he actually he's up in I forget where in Canada, but he put up a one of those long posts on Instagram the other day about calculating that, and I think he gave the imperial conversions.
Okay.
He's one of those Canadians that uses imperial.
Huh.
I don't know what they call those. It's like a Mennonite. I'm gonna turn the heat down.
Yeah, it's warm. Yeah, the community online has been great. I mean, very supportive of the podcast, very supportive. Whenever we've had a question, we've reached out, and even it feels like we've known you, John, forever.
Yeah.
Like that, we've been friends for so long. I guess because we just, hit it off. But that's how we met.
Sure. Sure. Well, I met
this right.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing, and it's really nice for me because I haven't really known many people in the Instagram, YouTube world until maybe a year ago. I started to reach out a little bit more. Yeah. And then I used to follow Jeff, and then this whole job worked out. And I think the nice thing is it opens up my mind to other projects. I'm meeting with a builder next week, and I'm always a lot of big projects I can't do. I'm one guy, and really my focus is on teaching.
Yeah.
So when I meet with Jack next week, now knowing you guys, I'm thinking, okay, is this a project? Is this a project we can film? What can happen here?
Yeah, it's nice. I found that maybe unlike some things in the past, in years past, everybody's willing to share.
Yeah.
And
I don't think there's an alternative. When I first started making YouTube videos, a friend of mine who's a house painter, he's like, John, you're telling everybody how to do everything. I said, if I don't say it, somebody else will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because there's really no secrets anymore. I mean, I remember an old timer told me if I'm going to put down polyurethane, he would put his polyurethane in a ice chest. So it took longer to dry, and then it leveled out a little bit more.
wow.
And so you get all these little things that are not really on the back of the can.
That's right.
But they work.
Yeah, and we're not selfish. Our end game is always for the client.
Yeah.
So whatever's best for the client, we want. And even if they're not our client and someone else is doing the work, I still want those people to have the best thing. So who am I to withhold these quote unquote secrets and deprive other people of getting a better product? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
So I have no problem giving away any information that.
I think in general, people who are in this little boat of sort of craftsmanship and an eye towards all these somewhat maybe esoteric values of goodwill and all that, we're very supportive of one another. If somebody else has the job, we don't think of it as a job we didn't get it. We want to help them.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
can't think of it as competition. It's just trying to help everybody, and you feel.
Yeah.
And life is short, and it's like the golden rule of, just do the right thing and don't be a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah, like if we lose a job to another good cabinet shop or furniture builder.
Yeah, we're happy for them.
Yeah. If
And
we
it
lose it
comes
to a
around.
hack, it's different.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, man, this guy's getting screwed. The client's getting screwed.
Yeah.
And that's what I care about the most. Like maybe it's my service industry background where I'm always worried about the end customer. I just hate seeing people get the wool pulled over on them,
Well, I think when you work with somebody good and you've had that training, it's sort of, you can't ignore it.
No.
And I learned everything that I do from my old boss. And he was just a really talented guy with a very high expectation for good work, And I think I've said it before. He wasn't easy to work for, but he was a good boss.
Yeah.
It's like having a tough parent, and you grow up, and
That's what you need.
You're like, man, they were right.
Yeah,
It takes about 30 years to figure that out.
100%.
That's why everybody else is a shithead. And I'm actually a good person.
Should we ask John about the tool of the week?
Yeah.
So this is a simple one. I'm looking around the shop. I'm thinking, what am I going to bring? What has some value to me? What do I use? What do I reach for? This is my push stick.
I love it.
So this push stick is a total copy of my boss. I started working there in maybe 1986 or so, and haven't worked for him in more than 30 years. But anyway, I traced this one day. I may have cut it out in the shop at his house, or maybe I had a bandsaw at the time. I don't know. Cut out a push stick, and I've been using a version of it ever since. So, the push stick gets beat up a little bit. I make another one. I usually have 2 or 3 hanging around. You can see I often shave them down a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And that just allows me to get a little bit closer to the blade. I always make them out of Baltic birch, generally always 1/2 inch. And the reason why I like this as opposed to some of the bigger ones that you see is I just like the visibility.
Yeah.
I like to be able to see where the material is, where the blade is, and
That's
it works.
a nice shape. I was going to ask you if that was
copy
yours
it if you
or-
want.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
a tracing.
Yeah.
We have several different varieties here, but in general, the push stick is a brilliant idea.
Oh, yeah. The 11th finger.
Yeah, that fits nicely in your saw fence too.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
Exactly. That's good. Yeah, it's no wider than the 2 rails. Like a
exactly.
bias
That's
wire.
generally where it goes. But since I got the saw stop, and saw stop was nice enough to send that to me, I try not to junk it up anymore. Usually that area of my saw fence is full of pencils and drill bits and
So you
things
can
like
see the
that.
logo nice
Yeah,
and
so now
clear.
I'm trying to make sure that anybody can. And I would recommend, and I don't work for Saw Stop, but they
No.
did send me the saw. But I always recommend a Saw Stop because.
Oh, yeah.
We have one too, right back.
Well, that was the main thing. I said I got to really try to get a Saw Stop in here because, more than half the people I know have tagged their finger or hand, including me. Mine was my left hand more than 20 years ago. But it's just to be able to have that technology.
Yeah.
Well, your other saw is a Powermatic,
I love it.
and our other saw is a Unisaw. Probably the 2 most ubiquitous machines, right?
Yeah. While they were still made in the U.S., I'm sure yours was made in
Yeah, that's got to be 25 years old. That saw.
And
actually, I'm not sure about. Is this one?
I don't know.
It's like a 2003, I think.
It might be like a Taiwanese.
Yeah.
But we both favor our new saw stops.
Yeah.
The saw is just so smooth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. Yes, I'm interested in the safety, but if it was a safe saw that wasn't good, I would have no use for it.
Yeah. Right.
But it just feels nice pushing wood through it.
Yeah,
It's just-
it is solid, and we both have the industrial. And
Yeah.
the base it's massive.
it is.
And it's when you turn it on, it's very quiet. It's
whispers.
just like a little whir, and you make cuts that you might have not made, which I don't know is a good thing or a bad thing, but you make cuts that you may have either felt very nervous about or may not have made, had you had just a regular saw?
Well, one of the things I really like about it is because I'm often making videos mostly, I can stop the saw mid-cut and there's no vibration, there's nothing. So the kerf remains the same. Mm-hmm. I can change the angle, back the piece of wood up a little bit and start it up again. If I were to do that with my Powermatic, when the saw engages its brake, it gives a little vibration and it bangs the kerf out. Mm-hmm. So it's just a really, I can't say enough about the saw stop, and I just recommend it to everybody because it's a solid saw and it's safe.
Yeah.
How much more is it then? How much more is a comparable saw made by Powermatic?
What do we pay for this? $3,500?
Was that it?
And then this, I think it was like $4,500 altogether with the, or maybe
so
it was
it's really
maybe it was $5,500.
Yeah, I think it was 5,000 something.
So it's maybe like a $4,000 saw, we'll call it, before tax.
And that's with your 52-inch fence.
Yeah.
So
and the it comes with a I don't know what you would call that, not an outfeed table, but a table that
extension.
Right, an extension table that goes the entire 52 inches.
Yeah.
And so if this is 4,000, is that what you're saying? Without that, so what is the Powermatic about?
I don't know about Powermatic. Like a Grizzly, maybe 2,000, $1,500.
But the Unisaw,
but again, it's probably not like this is an industrial saw.
Yeah,
like that's probably comparable to the professional series saw stop, which are I don't know, maybe $1,000 less.
Well, it's funny. The Eric over at Saw Stop was asking me why did I go for the 3 horsepower instead of the 5 horsepower, and my feeling was, if 3 horsepower is good enough for Greene Street Joinery, it's good enough for me. And I've been using a 3 horsepower motor in my Powermatic for all these years, cutting 8-quarter oak, never had a problem.
I mean, I had the 3 horsepower Delta over there, the Unisaw, and I had the Dado stack at a full 7/8, and I was taking, I don't remember what the hell I was making, but a deep cut, it didn't bog down at all. I mean, 3 horsepower is good.
Hooked up to 220.
Yeah.
When we were thinking about it, we watched a video and we were like,
Rob Cosman.
Yeah, we watched the video and go, we have to get the saw. And that's what he said. He goes, I got the 3 horsepower because you're never going to need 5 horsepower if you're, just in a regular shop. There's no need for it.
And we work in all hardwood. I mean, it's all oak and walnut, poplar, cherry. I mean, all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty much what I use.
Yeah.
I use like 5 different species almost always.
Yeah, we're mostly cherry, sapele, white oak, some walnut.
And we use maple as our secondary.
Yeah, I mean, maple's hard.
Yeah, maple's hard. It's not my favorite wood.
No, I'm not a big fan. No. Well, we better get into... I have a guest tool of the week. Our buddies over at Grip 6... When Manny was here, episode 11.
That's right.
His tool of the week was the belt, the Grip 6 belt. It's like a buckleless belt that goes in and it's completely hidden.
Yeah.
So they sent us a couple pairs of socks.
Wow.
Actually, this is Manny's pair. I'm wearing mine today. These are merino wool. I'll give you a little spiel here on the back because it gives you a good background on the socks. We start with locally sourced fine micron Ramboyette. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Merino wool, allowing us to develop the best blend to maximize the comfort and functionality of our socks. Our antimicrobial wool is entirely processed in the USA, then delivered to our mill in Utah, where we knit our socks from the ground up. Wool is an organic, moisture-wicking machine. It's also an incredible insulator even when wet. The natural moisture management regulates temperature and improves airflow, keeping your feet dry and comfortable all day long. So these are, and then it says on the side, designed, manufactured, and assembled right here in Utah. Our unrivaled commitment to quality and our hands-on manufacturing approach allow us to offer a promise to every customer who uses our products. If we made it, we'll stand by it for life.
Nice.
So 100% made in the USA.
Gotta like that.
Guaranteed for life. I'm like a regular sock kind of guy, like just like regular cotton, like Under Armour socks. These are super comfortable. They're like I wouldn't say they're thin, but they're thin for wool socks, I feel, but they have like a lot of cushion to them.
Yeah. I didn't realize they were wool because they don't have any kind of scratchiness.
No, they're very soft.
I think that's a whole new thing with wool. I think that we have the impression of the old itchy wool sweater.
Yeah.
And I think today they're doing something different with wool.
I'm old enough to where I have the wool hiking socks that like there's no elastic in them at all.
I'm going to take a picture of this.
They're
I'm
nice.
Gonna get these.
I don't know what they retail for. I'll put a link in the description.
I like socks.
I'll put a link to John's push stick, and he's going to be selling them for $24.99.
No, but I do have a free pattern. You can find these. I'll send it to
cool,
you.
Yeah.
There's a thing that you can print out on my website. I just got to find the link.
Awesome.
I use a version of like the John Hines one. You can see him hanging up right there. I don't use a pattern anymore because it's like engraved.
There you go.
in my
Yeah,
head.
that's nice. Yeah, John's great. I'm a big fan of John's.
That one's getting a little thin.
There you go. You've gone through it.
Yeah, because I'll recut the notch in the bottom a couple times. But I like that like full bearing on the top. That's the style I like.
I might have to take a tracing of this because I'm so used to this. I mean, I like that. I like having my index finger right there.
Yeah.
But you're a little bit higher because you're down here like this with this one.
You can really get some good downward pressure.
That's the other thing. Like that's a good thing because you can keep that. I will say that on a thin piece, it can want to pop a little bit.
Yeah.
What I'll do there too is actually sort of rotate my wrist towards the fence, and it'll give it that pressure towards the fence.
That's how I've taken to using it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a tracing of that if you don't mind because that would be nice to have around.
And it's nice to make your own because then you can cut through them. Like you can see the bottom of that.
I can't even imagine. Like because my saw obviously came with a push stick. I'm never going to use it.
I don't know what we did with ours.
It's the same exact. Yeah.
Is that it?
I mean, okay. I'm giving the saw stop a high mark.
Yeah.
I'm not giving the push stick a high mark.
Now, I had the
this thing just
Bosch.
looks weird.
The Bosch job site table saw. It comes with a red one that looks kind of like that, and I actually hit it into a blade before, and it was like very scary.
Like it shattered?
It exploded into a million pieces. So I'd say you want something that's cuttable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I'll add something on these socks. I'm like one of those thick sock wearing guys, like the kind of old
Wigwams.
Yeah, I used to wear those in the Fox River, and now I've been wearing the Duluth version of those for a long time. So like this thin kind of sock, it feels a little weird, but the footbed of this sock,
it's cushy.
It's more cushy than the
really
thick
curious.
socks I wear.
I'm really curious about that. I'm definitely gonna.
That was my very first impression, and they do leave your feet a bit cooler.
Yeah.
They don't fall down your leg at all.
No, I haven't pulled these up all day.
Oh man.
These are what do you call these? Crew socks?
I guess so.
And they're like they come halfway up your your shin.
Yeah.
And then I think they have a couple other.
So how did you find out about them?
So Manny, our buddy Manny, he was on episode 11, and his tool of the week was the Grip 6 belt. That's where they started, was making belts. I think they make a couple different things now, belts, socks, maybe something else. And he sent them the clip from the podcast, and they were like, man, that's totally awesome. You guys want to try some socks?
Wow.
And as I sent them to us.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I like that they're made in America, too. I mean, we're big proponents of that because...
Well, that's like the pants that you guys wear.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1620. I don't have them on today, but...
Yes. Our expensive
$200
pants.
But you get what you pay for. It's no different than furniture or anything.
And we're supporting a real job.
Yeah, well, that's like Vermont Glove.
Yeah, it's important.
I like the guys up there at Vermont Glove in Randolph, Vermont. They make... The funny thing is... Sam makes the gloves, and his brother is a goat farmer. And the gloves are made out of goat skin.
Oh, wow.
Goat skin is better for gloves because it doesn't shrink like leather does. So they make gloves for linemen. They make really good working gloves.
To check that out.
Yeah.
Yes, I was doing an interview with Miles, the brother who's a goat farmer, and they also sell goat meat, and they call it Chevon because that's what they call it in France.
Is it CHAVON?
Don't ask me how to spell. I think you're right, though.
I think I've heard that before.
I'm sure you are. But it was funny because I'm making the video, and you got all these cute goats running around, and then I forget what it was. It was like it. Oh, I know what he was talking. He was saying how the goats are just a much more profitable animal and way to farm than cattle, because generally you have 2 females that will be born, and they so then you have 2 milking animals, and you generally do have twins, and then if you have a male, then you have meat. And then when they're done, you have gloves. and I just was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to figure out how to cut this, because this is just like not gonna come out well.
The city folk can't.
Yeah, they can't. They're thinking of goat yoga or something.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about goat gloves.
Yeah, goat cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that they were made from goat hide.
And you'll notice that the seams are on the outside, which makes the gloves more comfortable on the inside, and you can get a stronger seam.
Interesting.
Fun fact of the day.
John, you're a guest, and as such, you are entitled to the gripe of the week.
Okay. So
got one.
anybody who watches or watches my Instagram stories knows that I'm a pretty avid hiker and mountain biker. And since COVID, the amount of hikers in the woods have just increased exponentially. And my big pet peeve is people who walk their dogs and then pick up their dog shit
There's no other way to say it.
with a plastic bag, but instead of taking it out of the woods, leave a plastic bag full of dog shit on the trail.
Oh, so what's the point in that?
That's what I mean. I'd rather just be off the road, off to the side of the trail, and let it biodegrade. But now you have a plastic bag, and I would say every hike I go on, I see at least 1 or 2 of those, maybe more. And I just, it definitely is one of those things. So you could say, well, this person's going to pick it up later. Maybe they're doing a loop, but it just doesn't happen.
You wouldn't see them if...
I wouldn't see him that way. So anybody who hikes probably knows what I'm talking about.
That is a good gripe. I mean, we did one early on, I remember. I can't remember whose it was. It was probably mine, because I did them all in the beginning. It was about littering.
Yeah, I don't like littering at all.
The people throw stuff out of the cars.
I'm picking up stuff on my property all the time.
A good book, Walking Softly Through the Wilderness. You might even know it, John.
I've heard of it, but I'm going to have to
But it's all about, it's one of those books from the 70s.
Leave only footsteps kind of deal.
Exactly.
Or footprints, rather.
That's the way you got to look at this, especially. It's bad enough in urban environments, but in the...
Yeah, like just take a stick and like fling it into the woods or something.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my feeling is if you're going to bring your dog, I'd rather just... just take it off the trail. Just kick it off the trail.
It's probably better than even putting it in a bag and throwing it away, because that bag's still not going to biodegrade wherever it goes.
That's exactly how I feel.
I mean, the woods... It's full of animal.
Well, the funny thing, too, is there's definitely a huge difference between dog shit and horse shit. And you'll see horse shit all the time in the woods.
Manure.
But manure, there you go. Now I can sound a little bit more sophisticated. Manure is a much different thing, because they're just eating hay and grass, and it just sort of becomes part of the trail.
Yeah. Dogs don't
There's nothing fun about dog shit. There's nothing fun about dog shit getting stuck on your front tire of your bicycle.
Oh, man.
I mean, because if you got it,
smell it the whole ride.
and
fenders?
no, and it's gonna like fly up when you start going down a hill. But I think the worst thing to do is put it in a bag and leave it on the trail.
Yeah, that's bad. We talked about it. I forget how we got there. Who knows? Because we getting on these tangents. People used to throw them into the dumpsters on jobs, like when I was working as a finish carpenter. And we would go into the dumpsters and organize, line everything up so you could get more in there, and you'd end up stepping on it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, generally speaking, somebody never had to deal with it. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it.
People are selfish.
That's a good gripe.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'll add one more. The other thing I see in the woods now are masks.
Really?
Yeah.
Flinging them off?
I'll see 1 or 2 masks. I'll even see them. I think I saw them in the ocean over the summer. Which is always a bummer.
That's like the Mylar balloon.
Yeah. Oh
Right,
my
you can
God.
go 100 miles. We went 100 miles offshore fishing, and there's balloons floating in the water
Yeah.
out there.
I'm not a big balloon fan for that reason.
No, like don't release balloons into the air.
I'm really like,
They do come down.
Yeah.
I'll say things to my daughter. She's only 12 now. And so even when she was younger, she would ask for a balloon or something. I was like, well, you don't really want a balloon. It's going to probably choke a dolphin, isn't it?
She hasn't slept well since.
Well, she knows I'm teasing her.
It's going to kill a unicorn.
Yeah, exactly. And she would say something about like a straw or whatever. And I would say, that straw is just going to get stuck in some poor turtle's nose. You know that. Because you know what happens. They see these viral videos and it sticks in her mind.
Oh, dude.
But she's a really smart kid. I can kind of tease her and she knows that I'm not being real.
I mean, it is pretty true though.
It is. So it's kind of like giving a little bit of lesson, but, teasing her at the same time.
Like you can have a balloon or a straw, but just know that there is potential for it.
And do you really need one?
Right. Yeah. consider the consequences, potential consequences.
Yeah. Well, I'm like an old minimalist, so I'm like a no fun person. I really am.
Yeah, I want to throw everything out in my house, to be honest.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Look at that. We got somebody else in the audience. We have Brendan.
Welcome, Brendan.
What's going on, Brendan? Well, let's not waste any time. We started a new segment. Yeah, we got a 4-pager today. New segment, which is book of the week or the month or the undetermined period of time, because we're not sure how what we're gonna be able to keep up with. With the book thing. But Rob's got that this week. So what do you got?
All right. Well, I have a bit of a magazine, I'll call it, in lieu of a book. It's published by Fine Woodworking, and this is called 102 Contemporary Designs, and it's essentially a picture book.
Yep.
It's got a lot of really nice color photos in it, and it's something that Fine Woodworking would publish, probably not even once a year. And the reason I brought it out here is if you're watching, it's essentially a picture book of all these sort of gallery type pieces of work. And this one's centered on modern design. There's lots of stuff out there on the Stickley and the Greene and Greene. And I call them gallery pieces because it's sort of like a piece of furniture that, unless they have some sort of really exemplary kind of client that's money is no object, you can't really spend the time to do a piece like this and make money at it. This is something that, that we couldn't build a piece like this and charge enough for and get paid for it, but it gives you inspiration.
Yeah.
And we've been asked about that before, inspiration.
I can see really enjoying that book.
Yeah,
Because you might look at one design and then you might say, okay, well, I can use an example of this in a different part.
Yeah,
Right.
just take a little piece of it.
Yeah, there's
And
some,
they're all
Exactly what
nice,
you do.
photos on backgrounds.
look at that. That is beautiful.
Or,
Right. I mean-
backdrops, rather.
Incredible work, incredible workmanship, a lot of really interesting stuff.
See, this is something that I really like because I try. Like, to me, that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's not. It's obviously harder than it looks, but it's
clean.
It's on the simple side, but it's also very clean and would go
Like
well.
on the back there's a you see that through tenon like coffee table.
This
with
one
the
here?
Cooper. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's
And I like that aesthetic. I think even with like this chair, I'm a bigger fan of this chair, if you can see that, than I am of some of the more complex chairs because I just like the simplicity of it. The way that back is angled, I bet it's very comfortable. It's got a cushioned seat.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to take a picture of that.
cool.
I'm gonna definitely take a picture of this.
Take that
yeah,
home.
on the back there's like a
I might, if you don't mind, I'll borrow this.
a low credenza on the back with like just this.
Yeah,
Super
very clean.
It just has some angled kerfs and these little metal legs and look at the integrated pulls.
And I like the angled curves, and I also think it could work without them.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing where, and because I think about paintings and I think about walls and, where's the painting going to sit on the wall? That piece of furniture is still going to allow for a large painting.
There you go.
Do you know the artist Kenneth Nolan?
No.
Kenneth, you would love Kenneth Nolan. I think he would do like very bleeding, canvas, raw canvas pieces.
For craftsmen with the
Yeah, that's nice.
with like the peened copper. I wouldn't say that's modern.
Maybe the use of the copper in there.
Yeah, modern interpretation of a prairie style bed.
Yeah, it's a great thing for
I
inspiration.
definitely would like to borrow that for a little while.
Yeah.
I'll probably come back when you cut some more on this.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I'll borrow it and I'll come back when I do that video.
I've had that for at least 10 years.
I was gonna say when.
Yeah, I'll be careful with it. I know how I can see the value in something like that. That's going to be something
And
that
you can see the pages are well.
Do you know what?
worn.
There are people that you can let there are people who you can let borrow tools or things like that. And then there are people that you can't.
Yeah.
You find that out when you get all, you know what I mean? Through time.
The hard way.
Yeah, you find that out the hard way. Exactly. Yeah, that's going to be great. That's going to be a great resource. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to shoot some pictures with my phone. Like, I love that chair.
Yeah, very cool.
That chair is not. That chair is not an easy chair to make.
No, you could probably find this on eBay or something. Fine woodworking furniture, 102 contemporary designs, and I'm sure they have. They put out probably a different one, whatever year, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, take what Jeff just said, all that information, and search it, because this is definitely worth having in your library.
And it says $12.99, so it's probably you probably get it for like $4 now. Used.
That's right. I bought that at Barnes and Noble up at Palmdale.
Yeah, it's a good buy. These are the things that I need to buy more of, because I find when you look at something like this, you really do get inspired. And we were talking about going to museums, and I went to the Shaker Museum in Hancock a few years ago, and I remember coming back like, wow, I'm really ready to do something. We were talking about maybe going to Falling Water or something. Yep. But yeah, it's great to. It's no different than being a musician and covering someone else's song.
That's right.
You don't have to copy the song entirely. You could take a section of it. Let's face it, there's nothing that's really completely original.
No.
We're always standing on other people's shoulders.
It's all been done.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
But that's what you hear. And I mean, in the art world, they'll always go like, things are derivative. Right. So that's kind of supposed to be kind of an insult. I think that you're going to see, in painting, you're going to see, oh, that's been done before, but you take it somewhere else. Yeah. It's just.
How many Da Vinci's are there?
And another thing is, what's better, originality or good? So like you can make an original piece of garbage, or you can make something that's good.
Yeah, like we can't all be expected to be like visionaries.
Yeah.
Right.
So we take, what's been done and put our own spin on it. And it might be pretty good, but we're not all capable of being a groundbreaking furniture maker or artist or musician, but we can still be damn good at.
That's the thing, doing your best work. You ever hear that Prairie Home Companion? He used to be
I've heard that, yeah.
He would always say, like, do your best work. Or no, do your best work is Acme Tools. Do good work was that guy, Garrison Keeler and I always thought that's a good one.
Yeah.
Do good work. Makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all try to do that.
Yeah.
I know, 3 of us. Are we going to launch into the questions?
Yeah, we got a lot of them this week. I'll say 3 full pages. The last page doesn't really have anything on. So this first set is these are questions that went directly to John's page, and they're more aimed at him. So we'll start out with those. How do you wash your mountain bike in the winter after shutting off the water outside? From Danana Split on Instagram.
I like that name.
Generally, I try to ride my bike when the ground is frozen in the winter. I love those conditions. Great traction. It's pretty fast. You don't have to worry about any mud, and you're only cold until halfway up the first hill. If I do go out and get muddy, then that means it's warm out, and I've got one spigot where I can turn the water on with a little valve up in the ceiling, and I'll do that, and I'll let it go a couple of days too. I don't mind having a dirty bike; it's not going to kill me.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I used to ride my bike, I never washed it off. To be perfectly honest, not that I was doing a lot of like muddy riding, but
Yeah, I just wash it off occasionally because it rides a little bit better, and then I'll do a little bit more. Make sure I lube the chain and just make sure that everything's tight and good to go. I have ridden a few times where I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And the quick release came off on the back, and I thought, okay, well, I need to pay a little bit more attention here to the bike.
Yeah, I could chime in on this. It's if you're interested in the clean bike in the wintertime, you can have a plumber come out. Like in our house here, we have all those long petcocks that go. The shutoff is actually inside the house. You know what I'm talking about? And then you can grab one of those 25-foot hoses that shrink up to nothing.
Yeah.
And you could carry that in and out of the house. And that way there's no water left inside to freeze, so you can kind of access your water outside.
Yeah, I might want to try to do something like that because there's times where, just turning on that little valve it's a step. It's not a big step, but it's something that you have to do. But it's funny though. I've been noticing that your pond runs all year long.
Yeah, I got a little heater.
You got a heater in the water?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, today I filled up the bucket with water from the hose bib right there, and you just go.
Yeah,
out.
because the petcock actually is like 18 inches, so it's on the inside of the house.
So it's nice. You just go, turn it on, it's ready to go, and then that's it.
Yeah, maybe that's something I'll do.
I've seen those before. Yeah, it's like they're about that long.
We have a little heater in the pond so that the water will run all year for the birds and everything like that.
That's nice. My wife and my daughter have been after me to do some kind of fountain or some kind of running water thing.
It's nice because we're bird watchers and things like that. So having a water source is a big draw for the birds.
Absolutely.
You'll see them in there washing themselves. It's just an enjoyable way to pass a quiet day.
Yeah, especially when spring comes. We sit outside with lunch.
Yeah. It's a nice sound.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I hear it immediately. I'm like, what's going on here? And then I realize you got the little.
There was a frog, big frog in there. Yeah. There was a turkey at the bird feeder one day.
Yeah, we had a turkey back here.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, we live next to a grocery store.
Yeah.
That's funny. Turkeys are actually really smart. I heard a whole thing on them. There's another podcast called Stuff You Should Know, and they did a whole thing on turkeys.
Yeah,
almost makes you not
fly.
want.
Most people think that they can't fly for some reason, but turkeys do fly.
Well, they sleep in trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They sleep in trees.
Roosting.
And they're very social, very, very social animals. After listening to it, I was like, oh,
You
man.
don't want to eat turkey anymore.
Like
it was
Thanksgiving is chicken from here on out.
Yeah.
We still ate turkey, but I felt that.
It does taste good. Here's our next question from Sydney Torres on Instagram. How do you clean the brush or roller after using contact cement?
That's impossible, unless it's water-based. But solvent-based, I just throw them away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You use like a chip brush or...
I use a chip brush, and I use maybe a mohair roller, 6-inch roller or something. And sometimes I use a larger roller, but yeah, that's just the way it is. Oh, but the trick is if you're working, you're using contact cement, putting veneer down, you're doing it for a day or two. First of all, I line my paint trays with tinfoil so I don't have to ruin the paint deal.
That's a good tip.
And then after I finish using the roller, I go over the paint tray with the roller inside it and crimp everything down nice and tight, and the roller will not dry. It'll at least give you a day or two.
Oh, yeah.
I've done that with like a shopping bag. You put like a paint roller. If you're painting, I don't have a lot of experience with like roll on or that kind of contact cement in a thing. Mostly spray on, but with like paint, take a shopping bag, stick the roller in there, wrap it up real tight, and the next day you're good to go.
Oh, with latex paint, you could probably go a couple days.
Yeah, I've done that too with the glue.
Yeah,
roll it up nice and tight, Ziploc bag even over it, and have pretty good luck with it.
Yeah. And that's the kind of thing where you just want to use that stuff and then be done with it. It's so it's rough stuff.
And it's made to stick to things, so cleaning it's like
I just don't want to be wasteful. That's the whole thing.
I know it's kind of you feel bad, but then you think like think about how much material you would waste trying to clean that out.
know.
Yeah, like let's use
Then where's
a quart of lacquer thinner
Yeah.
to clean this off.
Oh my God! Even the thought of that makes me a little sick.
All right.
You got the next one, Rob?
Yeah, I'll read it. This is from Iron Woodworks Limited on Instagram. This is to John. I'm obsessed with the sage green cabinets in your shop. Do you remember the paint color?
I'm pretty sure it's Bayberry Green from Benjamin Moore.
There you go.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
I like Benjamin Moore. I'd say we're Benjamin Moore.
Yeah. Mostly because they are nearby.
Yeah. I've definitely had better luck with the Benny Moore stuff versus SherwinWilliams if we're talking about the two main sort of brands.
I like Benjamin Moore. The one thing that I'm not liking about Benjamin Moore is I feel like the cans rust pretty quickly. So you can buy a can of paint to paint your kitchen or whatever, go to touch it up 6 months later, and then you've got rust around the can. And then if you're opening the can, it falls. Like a plastic can would go a long way for me.
Yeah, like we have a can of polyacrylic back there, Minwax polyacrylic, and it's a plastic can.
Because that's a Sherwin-Williams product.
Oh, really?
Pretty sure Minwax is Sherwin-Williams.
Oh, wow. That stuff is pretty good. We've had decent luck with it.
Yeah, we put it on plywood of all sorts, and we're always shocked. We always say, "Look at how good this turned out."
Yeah.
Well, I like polyacrylic. Mainly, I've been using Mohawk's pre-catalyst lacquer because Mohawk's a sponsor of the show, and I do really like it.
Yeah.
And I've been using their products for 25 years or more. But the polyacrylic is really good stuff. And the thing with water-based lacquers or water-based polyurethanes is they don't give you that warm feel that you'll get on a wood. Like if you were to put lacquer on maple, it kind of makes it yellow.
Yellow, yeah.
Where, or really, I'm thinking of birch plywood. It makes it yellow. Where with the water-based, it's going to keep a very nice clear color.
Yeah, it almost makes it a little more cool, I feel like. Like it has like a little bit of like a bluish.
It might,
bluish tint to it. Like it's weird. It lays out with that cloudy.
Yep, and then it
dries clear.
Stands up really nice.
Yeah, like what do we do? Danny's desk. Like that thing was silk. This has polyacrylic on it, and this was just like this is a general water-based black. And you could see it got like super spotty in spots. I sanded through it, but because I got really bad overlap, which is why we don't use stain really, just because it's a pain. But then this has the polyacrylic on top, and it's nice and smooth. You can see brush marks and stuff, but this was brushed on.
But you wouldn't get it if you sprayed it.
Right.
Spray's nice, especially with a good sprayer. I've become a huge fan of the Fuji spray system. That is so nice.
Yeah.
Especially that Q5, it's so quiet. Because I was going from an old one, and it was just like, it was like starting up a shop vac. You know?
Yeah, I had to say that is a nice color green, though.
Yeah.
Thanks. It just kind of worked out. I was like, oh, I have this paint. I'll try it. And
I like those pale greens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever see the house? You're driving down the road and you go, man, they must have had a sale on the color of that paint. Like,
oh my God.
Like, why would anybody paint their house that color?
Yeah.
Like a pink house.
Yeah.
The corner of Hance and River Road in Fairhaven. The purple house.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah.
Man, is that ugly?
Like, why?
Purple and like the gutters are blue or something.
It's so funny that you brought up gutters. I've got a question, aesthetic question here. I'm putting a new roof and new gutters on my house. I'm using the Timberline 3-dimensional roof. It's a brick house, and I don't like the white gutters. They look really dated.
Yeah.
And I don't like, more than the white gutters, is the white downspouts. So I'm thinking of going bronze, which is basically brown.
Yeah.
With the bronze gutter, would you still paint the fascia board white, or would? Because you're going to see like 3/4, depending on how it's, tilted for the water.
You might not see very much of
You're
it.
not going to see. Then I thought, should I go aluminum over the fascia board?
Yeah, you could get the matching PVC color, the PVC coated aluminum.
Yeah. So that's just one of the, like, when you're going to do that's a big project for me. I'm not doing the roof myself, but it's an expensive thing.
Doesn't pay to do.
There's two roofs on it.
Yeah.
So they're going to be ripping roofs off. There's some soffit work.
Probably 3/8 plywood on there, on the roof.
3/8? No, I think it's like at least 5/8.
Yeah.
It's pretty heavy. The house was built in the 60s.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it's 3/8, but I'll let you know.
Yeah.
It's funny because the guy came to give me an estimate, and I think they do good work and all. But I was telling him about the soffit. I said, this little bit of soffit needs to be replaced, and that does. And he goes, yeah, we'll use 1/4 inch for that. I'm like, 1/4 inch? I said, I think it's 1/2 inch. And I asked him 3 times, are you sure it's not 1/2 inch? And he kept saying 1/4 inch. Then when I got because I'm thinking like little 1/4 inch plywood, that you get in the store. And then when I got the estimate, it said 1/2 inch.
Okay.
That makes sense, right? I mean,
yeah, 1/4 inch.
1/4 inch is like
anything 1/4 inch.
Yeah.
Especially not outside.
Yeah. I mean, the soffit doesn't get any weather because it's the soffit. You know, and if your gutters are working correctly, it'll be. So anyway, that's good. I just wanted to kind of get an idea of that. I think go bronze.
Did you wind up going with Garden State?
I did, yeah. They came out. And he's a really nice guy. I just think
Was it Steven?
No, it wasn't.
No.
It was Pete.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't meet.
Really, really nice guy.
Yeah. They're very thorough.
Here's another technical question. I've got a gigantic vent on my roof because there's no ridge venting.
Yeah.
They're going to put ridge venting in.
Yep.
It's a six pitch roof. And I'm thinking I can get rid of that. I'm just going to get rid of that vent.
Yeah.
Because they gave me a price with
That's
the vent.
Squirrel door,
I know. Everything. I don't want.
We got a gable vent here with the squirrels. They go in and out all day.
Yeah. Squirrels. I like squirrels unless they're in my house.
I have them in my house.
Oh, my God.
It's bad.
No, it's not good having a squirrel. It's not good having any animal in your house.
No.
Except, a domesticated animal.
Yeah, even that's not that great.
No,
all the
it's
time.
hard. I've got a cat. So like out of nowhere, we got a cat, and I actually like the cat. It's funny. I'm allergic to cats, so for some reason, I'm not allergic to this cat. I go to my brother's house. He has 2 cats. I can't breathe.
Huh. Hypoallergenic.
And he's right from the pound. Just worked out.
Oh, good.
7 toes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's. I didn't know what a thing was, but this is obviously, or this is actually a thing. He's a Hemingway cat.
Hemingway.
Oh, from
Apparently Hemingway collected 7 toe or 6, anything with more than 5 toes.
Yeah.
So now
polydactyly, they call that.
This dude is unbelievable. He's just like he just pulls these things out of nowhere.
You know what it's from?
No,
it's inbreeding.
Is that?
It's
okay.
It's a genetic mutation from. That's why you see a lot of like Amish people with 6 fingers because they stay within their community. And,
wow.
And the gene pool is very small.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes. So that cat's probably like the mom and dad were probably like brother and sister or something.
Wow, it's good to know.
Yeah.
Just a wealth of knowledge.
He is.
Not all of it useful, but
he'd be hell on Jeopardy.
I do okay.
I think you would. I'm always impressed. I'm like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Brush up a little on Shakespeare and the Bible, and you're ready to rock and roll.
I got my wife messaging me on Instagram. She knows exactly what I'm doing right now.
Well, we'll keep things moving. And this is another one. This is, again, for John. It's from Chino Villa, California, or CA. I guess that's Chino Villa, California on Instagram.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Yep.
What's the best wood to make kitchen utensils?
Well, this is funny. I'm going to say free wood from Greene Street Joinery because Rob and Jeff just gave me a bunch of offcuts that are all about 5/4, sapele, cherry, and maple. But those are basically the woods that I would use too: sapele, cherry, maple, maybe walnut, and basically just sticking with the hardwood.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one out of all those, I think I would go with cherry.
Yeah.
It's kind of tighter grained.
You made that cherry spatula?
Yeah.
That looked nice. You made a spoon too, right?
Spoon, yeah. It's still in use in the kitchen there.
Yeah.
One day we started goofing around, and the next thing you knew, we were in a competition.
Yeah.
That's fun.
See, I broke the head off of mine. Like I was almost done. And it broke, and
We're all there working next to each other, looking, making a spoon. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put a crook in the neck over here.
with no gouges, no hook knives, nothing. I'm like using a square chisel, trying to like chisel this thing out.
I tell you, for me, if I'm making like a spatula, 90% of it is done with a belt sander.
Yeah,
it's just easy. And I think we talked about this. I think a spatula is probably the most useful.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's just much more useful than a spoon.
yeah.
I don't use a spoon in the kitchen to cook with.
No,
Well, I gave my wife a spoon because this is the thing. I gave my mother a carved spoon for Christmas, one of her Christmas gifts, maybe a year ago.
Started it.
And if I'm giving my mother a carved spoon, I'm definitely going to give my wife one also. So anyway, I gave a bunch of carved spoons out. We never see ours because she puts them away and she's going to give them to my daughter.
Oh.
So that's kind of a nice thing. My mom uses hers, and I used that Arbortech ball gouge, and I really got a good vessel in it. And I was over there a couple of months ago, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty good. It really can hold the sauce."
Nice.
Oh yeah.
So it's good, but I still will say a spatula is better because you can kind of scrape the.
Yeah, like we have one wooden spatula like that has like a real square edge, which is good for like breaking up, like if you're cooking like ground beef or something like that, or like.
I like because it gets in the corners.
Yeah, I just like a silicone spatula.
You're not going to flip an egg with a wooden spatula.
No, or I'm talking about like you know what I'm saying, like the big silicone ended one that you see in the restaurant.
It's white handle, red blade.
Yeah, not like a flipper, but
Okay.
like you can scrape the inside.
I got
of the
you.
bowl there.
Okay.
That's my go-to. I got about a dozen of those in silicone.
They're
And
like
all
the Victorinox knife.
one piece, so that it doesn't get inside anywhere. They're in all different colors. There's a blue and a green and a red and orange, and they're I don't know, they're good. Wooden utensils, they're nice to look at, but as someone that cooks a lot, I don't find them very useful.
I like them. I like using them and touching them and everything like that. The washing is probably the thing.
Well, this is the thing. Like people will cringe. I put it right in the dishwasher.
Yeah,
I just do.
when it splits or cracks, then you get rid of it.
Yeah.
And like little breadboards, I make these little pigs, and I just cut them out on a bandsaw. Whoops, and they just go right in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Dishwasher's not the same as it used to be. Like my wife didn't want to put anything plastic in the dishwasher, and I said, "This isn't the. We have this $1,000 dishwasher. It doesn't have an exposed piece of wire at the bottom that
It's going to set the house on fire or
These
whatever."
things are made to wash everything. They wash everything.
Yeah.
People wouldn't buy it if it couldn't go in the dishwasher nowadays.
Everything's plastic now.
So, that was good. So, let's keep moving. We got a lot of questions to get to. You seem to have a great property, John, and you're doing well. Did woodworking get you there? Little Woodworks NL on Instagram wants to know.
Okay, so when my wife had an awesome job when we first got married, and that really gave us the ability to buy that piece of property.
And how long ago was that? Because that makes a difference.
Well, yeah. So, and it wasn't as expensive. Like you would be shocked if I told you what the price was of the house.
Yeah.
And we bought the property because the barn was on it, and you could not build that barn today. It's only a few feet off of maybe 30 feet off the property line towards the back. And the barn was falling down. We rebuilt it, and I think. And it was just a great thing. My wife left that job shortly after we buying the house, and then we owned a gallery for 15 years, and that did pretty good. And the majority of my business, where I was making the most money, was selling original artwork and making frames.
Yeah, you're an artist.
Picture frames. Yeah, I mean, I've sold paintings for a lot of money. It's kind of crazy if I told you one thing.
Does your fan base know that about you?
I don't think so. So I have people who see me on YouTube, and then I have collectors.
Yeah.
And I don't mix it up that much because people on YouTube are not as interested in art as they are furniture. When I quote unquote retire, I'll do more with art. Yeah. I think I have a lot to teach about art. I think, and I said this earlier actually, I think the problem with art is most people think of art as something that they've seen on Disney World or I don't know, back of a van or whatever. I don't know. They're not thinking of
the 70s van.
Yeah, it's not, there's so much to learn about art. And when you learn about art and the very short or recent history of the American art scene, like going back to the abstract expressionist, it really ties into what's happening or what we are interested as furniture makers and design. And if you look at the best interior design, it always incorporates original artwork. Mm-hmm. And so I'll look at a magazine like Modern Home or whatever, and I'll look at these paintings and I'll think, oh, that's a Franz Klein, or that's a Jackson Pollock or a Willem de Kooning. And it's not hard to learn about these artists, and you definitely do not need to go to school to learn about art. All you need to do is really go back to like 1950, 1940. Really, you know what? Just World War II.
Yeah.
Just go to like 1945 and just start to pick it out a little bit. And then that will open up your vocabulary to art, and you'll understand like, oh, okay, this looks really good, in a home. And I don't mind the idea of art being decorative, right? So some people will say, oh, that's decorative art, like it's an insult. And I just care about things that look good.
Yeah.
If they look good and they make you feel good and the space is inviting, that's what I'm interested in. And even as a woodworker, I'm often not even thinking about the furniture as much as the space. How is this going to complete and add to the space? That's what I'm going for. So yeah, I work to this day making private commissions. And I don't make any artwork though, unless it is a commission. Yeah. I won't make anything unless I get a deposit, because art's a weird thing. It's like any business. Mm-hmm. It's like furniture. You don't want to start a piece of furniture unless you've got somebody committing to it.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah. You don't want a whole stack of unfinished canvases.
And it goes against what was taught. Because going back 10 or 30 years ago, the idea was make a body of work, get slides of it. This is before digital. And then go ahead or go around and show people your body of work and see if you can get representation. That world doesn't exist anymore, and that's a good thing for artists.
Yeah. I started in a similar world where you had to have a photo album of all your, woodwork. You bust it open when you go meet a client, it's like, and they're leafing through like your family album.
Yeah.
Just your pictures of your woodwork.
Now it's like, go to the website. Go to the Instagram.
And the beautiful thing about that is it's such a personal thing, right? So you're standing there while a client is judging you, going through. So now it's funny because my wife is not the visionary that I am. Uh-oh. Hope she's not listening.
She'll be the first female listener.
Yes, we've been begging for somebody to step forward.
When we were in this gallery business, the paintings were really expensive. So you would not... It wasn't the kind of business where somebody walked in and then walked out with a painting under their arm. Mm-hmm. They walked in, they said they liked something, and then either the husband, the wife, or the boyfriend, whoever, went and showed their significant other on the website. And then after that, you would go to their home with the 1 or 2 or 3 paintings that they liked, or artists they liked.
The physical paintings.
You'd go there. So I'd have to, put them in my van. I had a van for the gallery. And go to the space. And sometimes that's New York City, and that's a pain in the neck.
So the gallery had paintings from other artists as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we dealt with the school of Hans Hofmann and the school of Edwin Dickinson. This is a whole nother story I won't get into.
I think we touched on it.
Yeah,
maybe.
and then my stuff. So I said to my wife, I said, there's this Photoshop thing where I think I can digitally install artwork in people's homes, and they'll see what it looks like, and then they can get that idea. And my wife's like, nobody's going to want to do that. So of course I just went ahead and did it, and it changed the business completely. So we still have the business, but we don't pay the rent. We don't have a physical space, and we still work with artists. And I do my work. I'll meet with designers and architects, and I'm the kind of artist who doesn't say no. They'll just say stuff like, hey, can you do this? Or we like it when you do that. Can you do it with this material or that color? And no matter what they say, I just say yes. And then eventually I figure it out. And I'll be driving around one day, and all of a sudden the idea comes. I make a little model that might be the size of my phone, and then I take a picture of that model, and the designer sends me a picture of the interior, and I make it whatever size it is.
Cool.
So they'll say, here, John, here's the home, and the sofa measures 80 inches wide. That gives me a frame of measurement that the sofa is 80 inches, and I've got 80 inches between the top of the sofa and the crown molding. Okay, let's make a painting that goes in there. So I'll drop the painting in, change the skew, the lighting, and now the client can say yes or no. And
it's kind of similar to what we do. Yeah. We've like dropped designs into photos before. I wouldn't say that we're very good at it, but
it's tough with like a
two-dimensional is 100% different than three-dimensional.
That perspective, like when we did it with the church, with
especially
the
when you're like, if we had a photo that was dead on, straight on, like maybe we could get an elevation view of it, but you know, we're not that good at taking photos, so they're always a little bit askew. So trying to fit something in there is hard, but like we'll draw the room in Fusion or SketchUp. Actually, we got a question about that. Draw the room, and then the person will be able to see the perspective of how it's going to look on this wall, and the doorways there and the windows here and whatever. So
that literally changed business the same way.
It does, because people can see it. And it's funny, like my wife is great, but she just sometimes just doesn't see those things. And I'm like, hey, this is the thing.
And now you don't have to go to people's.
Well, that was that. Well,
so you're getting paid for that.
No, I wasn't getting then, and the client didn't have to make that decision
in front of me.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So if it was my work, that would be one thing. But even if it was a different artist's work, it was still a thing, because they were deciding whether or not they were doing business with me. This way, they would get this email. And I mean, I always had this image of like the husband and wife like sitting on the couch, and all of a sudden, boop, they're getting a notification, and they go to it, and there's 3 or 4, I would call them drop-ins from the Laurel Tracy Gallery. And they would just kind of look at them, and they could say, oh, I like this one, don't like that one, whatever. Yeah. And so, and I mean, incredible deals would happen with that one little email. And the funny thing is, like, we talked about this, I don't know if we did talk about this, but like the energy that goes into a paragraph when you're writing a deal. Like, okay, how does this sound?
Yeah. I mean, we go back and forth with emails. I'm like, all right, here's what I got.
Blah, blah, blah. That's the famous preface around here. Here's what I got.
Yeah. Very similarly, like I sent off that bid to that place in Nantucket, the door, and I had 3 designs, and I took screenshots of them all from the same angles, doors open, doors closed, of the 3 different designs.
That's not me.
Phillipson. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the restroom.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
I'll keep everybody entertained here.
Hello.
So while Jeff's on the phone and John's out there taking care of business.
Yeah, I don't know. Phillips and someone just called.
Yeah. I mean, I know about the artists that he mentioned only from watching Antiques Roadshow. Because I've heard those names.
I only know them from John saying them before.
But John's got a really interesting background in art. I don't think I admire it a lot.
Yeah, I do like. I mean, I like all the art that I've seen that John has done.
Yeah, and just the ability to create a career as an artist is quite something else in today's day and age. There's no more patronage where people are paying you to go to your studio and create.
Most people are getting it from Home Goods.
Yeah. And
Live, laugh, love.
have you seen those
We gather here.
Have you seen those commercials? It's like an insurance company where the guy comes in and he says that once you like buy a house, you turn into your parents.
Oh, yeah.
Do we need a sign
Who
to tell
reads
us
books about submarines?
to live, laugh, and love? No, we don't.
Say most people, they get their art from Home Goods.
That's true. I think most people could make their own art.
Yeah.
I do. I think I would rather see somebody copy a painting by somebody in a museum or whatever. And at least that's almost like getting a comprehensive art history lesson. If you're going to try to copy a Matisse, you're probably going to read one or two things about that artist.
Yeah.
I'd say copy a Matisse before a Picasso. Copying a Picasso is sort of like...
I saw this really interesting PBS show about Da Vinci a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about how he would use like 30 layers of really thin layers of paint because they were talking about the restoration processes, and now they have these new ways with ultraviolet and different ways of examining the layers of paint, and how he was so groundbreaking and to authentically repair his work, you had to do these same types of steps. And now they're able to sort of show like what the Mona Lisa probably most likely looked like back in his day. Like we're used to seeing it as this muted sort of painting where in actuality it had more vibrancy compared to
I think I heard something about that.
Yeah, it was super, super interesting because, they compare him to artists at his time period, how they would layer on the paint. And of course, he was famous for all sorts of breakthroughs, but that was one of them. And they used to make their own colors and everything.
Oh yeah, with egg tempera,
yolk,
right?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that guy Baumgartner?
It sounds so familiar.
So he's in Chicago, and his whole channel is he's a restorer. Yeah, so he takes in these paintings, and like when he goes and cleans them off, it's insane. Like you were saying with the Mona Lisa, like it's this kind of flat and muted thing, and then he cleans the painting, and it's vibrant and bright, and really cool.
Yeah.
And then he retouches different spots, and it's a cool channel.
Yeah, that's a whole talent right there.
Yeah,
and his channel, I believe, is really pretty big.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good for him.
They're like sort of quiet videos, and you can just put them on. They're like they're long format, maybe a half hour long. Some of them.
I should really watch them actually because you could definitely learn something from those. I think I watched one or two and realized, shit, I don't know what I'm doing.
That's how we felt when we started looking at bending the wood.
Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah. Not bad for you.
Yeah.
So, next question. You want to read it, Jeff?
Yeah. I'm getting started in the woodworking business. What's the best way to drum up clients? From mhill427 on Instagram.
That's a tough
one. The $64,000 question, isn't it?
We'd like to know as well.
Yeah, it's a tough one. The woodworking business is a tough business. I think that you just have to do good work and hope that the right clients come around.
Yeah.
It's definitely not an easy business. For me, I fluctuated between woodworking and artwork, and then eventually went to frames.
Yeah.
Because that was, and then frames, and I talked about this maybe last time, I don't know, but there's about a 15-year gap between me making furniture and not making furniture. Mm-hmm. And that's because my focus went to making artwork and picture frames. And picture frames was just a lot of money in them.
Yeah.
So whatever you can do to find a market for, do that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is just keep your overhead down, no matter what.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Just don't go buy a bunch of tools until you have them.
Don't go into debt.
Yeah, don't go into debt. Don't go into debt. Think about the tools you need: table saw.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need a joiner, but a joiner's helpful, but you could do that with a table saw.
Yeah, or buy, surface lumber.
Yeah, S4S.
Design around the limitation of your shop at the beginning. I mean, and even still we do that. I worked in my basement for several years.
Well, that's like my small barn. I mean, my barn is not a big shop at all, but I don't need anything else, and I don't have rent.
Yeah.
So,
but how's he going to drum up clients? That everybody wants to know that.
I don't know. How do you drum up clients? It's been a long time.
You got to kick the bushes.
Yeah.
I guess you could do Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, I think social media is.
There's the answer right there.
The biggest driver of whether it's Facebook or Instagram, or it seems like Facebook is a big place for people that are just getting into it. I see, tons of people that are like Facebook. I feel is more direct to consumer. Like people are striking deals on Facebook, where Instagram, like people are maybe finding us on Instagram, but the deals aren't happening on Instagram. They follow for a while, and then they might go to the website, and then maybe they call. Facebook, it's like people put up, I make
picnic tables.
We have a question, from a guy, like, I make barn doors, and then people are like, hey, I want a barn door. Like, it's really a fast-paced.
I'm not familiar with your Facebook.
Yeah. Our Facebook is literally just our Instagram. It just automatically posts to...
But then, are you getting feedback from your Facebook?
Not really, but I don't go on it at all.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is a podcast I've been listening to lately is Chad and Steve have a podcast.
Oh, is that Steve
Ramsey? Yeah. I really like his podcast, and I find him really entertaining.
He's got a great sensibility.
Yeah, he's just got a good sense of humor, and so that's a podcast I've been listening to. And he was saying that Facebook has been huge for him in marketing his online business, his weekend woodworking class.
Interesting.
And I think I don't do anything with my Facebook either. I basically just do Instagram, and it feeds into it.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And then I'll go to my Facebook, and I'll see that I have, a couple of comments. And I'm like, oh man, I didn't even answer these, or I didn't even see them. But maybe that's something I need to pay more attention to. Yeah.
It's like anything. We always go back to this point of view. Like, there's only so much we can do. So we just try and focus on what is important and what works. So like Facebook, it's just kind of there because we're there because we have to be, and it's literally just the Instagram feed just goes straight there, and
you barely check it.
It comes up. It's like linked to my personal one, so if I go to Facebook, it'll if I get comments or something, it'll show up, and I make sure I respond and everything. But I'm not actively doing anything on Facebook that's not already on Instagram.
Yeah, I'll add to M. Hill's inquiry. It's your first client is your best bridge to your second client.
100%, yeah.
And so forth. So you have to, we do this anyway, but you have to treat each client, as special as they are. That this is the most important job you're ever going to do.
Yeah.
And that's going to lead to maybe a second job with that client, maybe a third, fourth, and fifth job, which is not unusual. But that's over years. And so you're building a reputation. That's the thing you need to do is worry most about your reputation and as you're building your body of work.
Yeah.
All right. Let's end there and move on to the next group of questions.
Look at that. We're getting close to the bottom of page 1.
Yeah. Oh, this is good. How many times have you cut a piece 1 inch short? And Dustin, one of our patrons, is asking for a friend. Not that he's ever done that.
Yeah, too many times than I care to admit.
Yeah, that's a biggie. The best is after you cut it 1 inch short, and it takes you a while to figure out that you cut it 1 inch short. You're still trying to figure out why something doesn't work.
I know why I've done it. Sometimes instead of holding the tape, I hold it at the 1 inch mark, and then I cut it 1 inch. Then I mark it 1 inch short.
Yeah, you burn 1 inch, but you don't add it on.
Yeah, exactly. Burn 1 inch.
Or the best is when you just misread the tape you know.
Yeah, it's always one of those. What happened there?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I found that, and I picked up this tip from Gary Katz, who's like a archetypal finish carpenter. I always, and it's hard to do over here because we have very limited space on that side. I always send my tape out to my right, so I can mark with my right. I hold the tape in my left hand, mark with my right hand. That way, I'm always looking at the numbers that way. Mm-hmm. When you start going to the left, and you might go 23 and 7/8, you might start looking this way.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
That's a good tip. I'm going to try that.
Yeah.
So, like, when I was doing production, you know,
right, you were a trim man for a while.
Yeah,
so.
I was a finish carpenter for a custom builder. So we're doing, you know, like headpiece casings and stuff where you might have 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you're talking like 20 cuts on a one headpiece if it's multi-part. So you have to get very accurate, and you have to pare down your motions and get very efficient. Yeah. So I always, you know, you cut your piece, you slide it this way, you hook that end, and mark everything. Waist is always to the left. That's the way I always worked. Oh, the waist is always to the left.
Always to your left.
Yep.
So you're holding the piece with your right hand, operating the saw with your left hand?
So I'm holding tape with my left hand, marking with my right hand, and then, cutting with my left hand.
Huh.
Yeah.
So the short answer for Dustin is never.
Yeah,
never.
no.
We never did that.
We don't make mistakes here at Greene Street.
At least we edit them out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I wish.
Just omit them completely. We got another one from a patron. This is from our patron, Brad. Came in via email. Gentlemen, I have enjoyed your podcast, which I found since I viewed Jon's channel as well. What was your process in determining what you would... What was your process in determining that you would produce a podcast? Were you all in? What was your lead time before you went live? And then he's got another question. We'll answer this one first.
We're going to split this one.
Yeah.
I'm going to move this to do an accurate pour.
So our process, we did a little video with these guys, Moore's Media. They work with a buddy of ours, Mike, at Big Mike's Little Red Store. They do the marketing for him. They run his social media and make videos and stuff. So we got in touch with them through Mike, and they, right when COVID hit, they shot this little like 30-second video for us. Wood Don't Get Sick, it was called. It was just like a little teaser kind of promo video. So we had a meeting with them, 6 months ago now, I guess. And we were just talking about, what we could do to get the name of the business out there, how to, get in front of more people. And something they had said was, you guys should think about starting a podcast. And I'm pretty sure we were all in at that point. And then it was like maybe 2 weeks until we...
It was fast. It was as fast as we could get the gear to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. And I also remember thinking, who wants to hear us talk? And then on top of that was Jeff saying, oh no, this has to be like at least an hour. I'm like, what?
You're like, yeah, we're sticking to like 20 minutes or something. I'm like, no, podcasts can go like 3-4 hours.
It took me a while to figure out it's like talk radio, and that's the way my mind wrapped around it finally.
It's a good thing. I like it. I mean, it's relaxing, and it's real woodworking.
Yeah, and if you
life,
if you zone in and out and you miss 20 minutes here, it doesn't matter because we're just on to another topic and you can just pick up. Yeah. Whereas, there's a lot of these episodic sort of podcasts, which is maybe more what you were thinking of, where they're true crime stories.
Yeah, I like those too.
Like that.
Yeah.
But those you really have to be tuned in, otherwise you're completely lost if you come in 20 minutes later. I mean. We're pretty much all in on anything that we do. So like we bought a good camera, we bought good microphones. Yeah. We said if we're going to do it,
let's just do it.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of how we approach everything.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, first episode, we're like, man, we had like 200 people listen to this.
Yeah. It was really shocking.
And then now we're up to I don't know, probably over 1,000 people an episode.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're probably closing in on 20,000 downloads.
See, what is it is it download when you just hit that little cloud there on the right
I think
side?
if you listen to it, they consider it a
Okay.
download. Yeah.
Because like I'll hit download if I'm going to drive somewhere just in case I like go in and out or something.
Yeah, so you don't take all the like.
Yeah, so I don't burn my data up.
Yeah, so we're getting about like 700, 800 on the audio version, and then another 200-300 on the YouTube version.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now we have Clubhouse. Matt's still tuned in. I don't know, maybe he fell asleep.
And we piggybacked off of you, John.
Well, I'm happy I could help out a little bit. I mean,
every time we do something with you, we have a visible bump.
good. That's what I want to hear.
I don't know what that sound was. Getting strange phone calls, have weird sounds coming out of my phone.
You want to read Brad's follow-up?
Yes. So this is Brad's second question. He wants to know, he's a hobbyist and his shop is unheated and it's a detached garage. He brings his glue back into the house and he wants to know what hand tools would we drop in a bin to bring, into the house to avoid the issues with moisture and humidity. Chisels.
Oh, he's in the
planes.
Pacific Northwest,
Yeah,
too.
thanks again from the Pacific Northwest. So very, very humid out there.
Wow. I would say just get some heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking insulate and heat your space. Small electric heater will, keep your space above 50 degrees.
Yeah. That or if you have a bin, just get some big desiccant packs or whatever you call them, the things that'll suck the moisture out of the air. Mm-hmm. And if it has a good seal, even if you want to spend some extra bucks and get like a Pelican case or, one of the knockoffs, like we keep the camera in like a $20 Pelican, and it seems to do just fine.
I beat the crap out of my camera. I can't believe you put your camera in a case.
Most of the time it just sits on the tripod.
I was going to say, like...
That was, again, we go all in, so I'm like, I got to get a case to get it. So yeah, get like, even if it's just a Rubbermaid, get some of those big desiccant packs and you can put your stuff in there and leave them outside. But that'll keep the moisture from going into your tools and it'll should keep them from rusting.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, Lee Nielsen ships all this stuff wrapped in the I forget what they call it, armor or something.
That paper.
Yeah, it's a paper
It's
that
like heavy wax paper.
it prevents things from rusting. So rather than have to drag stuff in and out all the time.
Yeah, just wrap it up and leave it right there.
Yeah.
I like John's suggestion of if it's not insulated. I mean, insulation's fairly inexpensive, and if you're investing in this hobby, not just in tools, you want to create a space that's nice, a nice environment to work in. Mm-hmm. Start with insulation, and then the better insulated the space is, the less heat you're going to need to keep it at a comfortable level.
Yeah, little insulation, plastic vapor barrier.
Yeah,
you don't even have to sheetrock it if you don't want to.
A dehumidifier.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
But the electric heater will dry the air out.
Yep.
And
We're lucky. I mean, it depending on what you have in the house. Now, we have a gas heater here, and we're separated from the house. I just dug it. I mean, we do everything.
The hard way.
I dug a trench and, did everything I possibly could first, and then had a plumber come in and drop the gas line, just tied it into the meter at the house. And this stuff's all relatively inexpensive. The heat system itself, I think, was only $900. And we're here in the middle of winter. We're
getting baked.
yeah, it's nice. You got great heat here.
We work in short sleeves. We're turning the heat down. After lunch, we usually turn it up a little bit.
Yeah, you get that little chill after lunch.
Yeah. Food chills.
Yeah.
Food chills. That's what they would call it when I was working construction.
Do a little research, see what's available in your area. If you're interested in this system, it's really awesome. It came from Canada.
Easy does it.
Yeah, it's like a closed loop, so the dust and things like that don't affect it because it takes air in from the outside of the shop and exhausts it out the other end. So it's a radiant tube, super warm.
Is it as warm at this end as it is on that end?
Yeah.
Because I was standing under it before. I was like, wow, this is nice.
It gets hot.
Yeah. And when you were doing the bend, I was standing there with the camera. I was like, wow, this isn't.
And if you like stand on the table saw or something, it's really hot. Like when you get close to it.
Wow.
Yeah, even just up at the ceiling with the hot air rising, it's.
I mean, I wore shorts all last year. I didn't put pants on the whole winter.
Yeah.
So I'd walk from my truck, whatever it is, 25 feet.
Last year's winter and this year's winter were two different things.
Yeah.
It's crazy
So,
this winter.
There's a couple of options for you, Brad.
Yeah.
Let us know what you decide to do.
Got a good one from our buddy Frank, Carpenter 1-3,
right.
out in San Diego. King of the ghetto jig. How far is John's barn from his house?
Probably 160 feet. I'm a big fan of Frank's. I learned a lot of stuff from Frank. He's good.
Frank is good. And he's a guy like Garrett where he does all kinds of different stuff.
Well, he and Garrett, I think, are buddies.
Yeah, and they're real close to one another.
Yeah.
160 feet, that's not bad. What's the shop here to the house?
40.
40?
Yeah.
I mean, you can estimate. I'm thinking 160 feet, 150 feet. I think I must have measured it once because I probably...
Yeah, I'd say 4 times this. So
Because the house is a little bit further than like where you park and everything.
Yeah.
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 It's another good
And it's
shop.
just all happened. That's where the barn was. So when we bought the house, I had to put a foundation under it. And being young and strong and, a lot of energy, we just jacked it up with
Young
car
and dumb.
jacks. Young and dumb. I've done all my young and dumb stuff too.
Yeah.
But we jacked it up and hand dug a foundation underneath it. 3 of the walls had to be replaced, the foundation there, and put that in and basically gave the barn a facelift. And
It looks great.
and then I did another facelift to it about a year or 2 ago because it needed a new roof and some new siding. But I like it. It's just, it is small. It's not a big shop.
Yeah, it's a little bit smaller than our place.
Much smaller. It's like half the size.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I would say.
Because it's not as wide.
What? How?
This is 24 by 36, on the outside.
Okay. So I'm like 15 and a half by 31 on the inside.
Okay.
With that new space that I just took that wall down, it used to be an outdoor outdoor covered porch.
Yeah.
And it's not a huge space, and I have that little shed that's connected to it for like a finishing room that I'm still working on. The good thing is it's far enough away from the house that nobody really comes out and bothers me.
I was going to say, it's close enough, but just far enough away.
Yeah, nobody really comes out there.
There was a time here where I had to lock the door.
Not for anything insignificant. They're like, if I really need you, I'll go out there. But if it's just like something stupid, I'm not walking all the way out there.
Yeah. It's...
Yeah.
I think that this year, well, not even. I don't think my wife has been out there once this year. Because it's still new in the year. But maybe 2 or 3 times a year to look at something. But yeah, so it's great. Especially with the whole COVID thing. It's like having a space that you can go to work and
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 of us, 3 of us, we're very lucky.
really fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I was coming here in March, April, May, there was nobody even on the road.
I know, it was crazy. It was actually a pleasure to drive anywhere.
Well, right across the way here, Route 36 is the next block up, and on the other side, the wet side, as we call it, there's a commuter lot for the Academy bus where goes to New York City, and every day it would be full. Even now, it's empty. There's 2 cars in there, and usually one of them has a for sale sign on it.
Yeah, it's a changed world. It
is.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it goes back. So my oldest son is almost 24, and so he's going out, and restaurants and bars are now open.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think he went to Rum Runners for Valentine's Day with his girlfriend on Sunday, and you walk in there with a mask and you take your mask off when you get to the restaurant or you get to your table.
Yeah, it's all sort of just formalities.
Yeah, it's just
we can't keep everybody home, so
yeah,
we're going to make these rules. They don't really make sense.
We
but
can't bankrupt this entire industry. We're just going to have to decide that it's okay.
Yeah, so it's just it's interesting to see. And then my son Michael, he's down in Maryland. He's like, yeah, COVID doesn't exist down here. he's so funny. He's like 20 years old. The guy is the happiest dude ever.
Oh, good.
It's like those kids are hungover all the time anyway. They don't know if they have COVID or it's a hangover.
I'm telling you,
I think alcohol must kill the COVID.
Michael and Walter are driven kids. I mean, they're like, those are the guys who were just in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So, they saved up, went to Hawaii, and they said basically the same thing out in Hawaii. You wore a mask when you were taking a bus everywhere. And they stayed, I forget where they stayed, but they said it was pretty rough. The area was pretty rough. Not a place where it sounds like I would want to go to vacation with my family, at least.
The bounty hunter is.
And where the older folks want to go.
Yeah. So, but they were just going to Pipeline and going to they weren't surfing Pipeline. They were surfing smaller breaks, but they were filming and stuff out there. And they were saying, it wasn't like that big of a deal, but, I think in certain states it's a bigger deal than others.
Yeah, it's all about, we all take risks no matter what we do in life. It's a risk just getting in your car, coming to work. So you have to evaluate the risk and make a decision as to what you're comfortable doing. Yeah,
my daughter goes to school 2 or 3 days a week, and she does wear a mask at school and all that stuff. But, she's at school with a bunch of other kids, and how far apart can they? It is what it is.
Yeah. It's all, we're figuring it out as we go.
It'll be nice when things get back to some kind of normal.
Yeah, I heard 13 million vaccines going out in New Jersey this week. So we'll see.
Jeff and I are on the list.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm looking forward to being able to travel a little bit easier, go someplace. My son, Jack, though, who works in New York City, has been working from home since this all started. His whole mindset has changed. I don't know. Like, he was thinking about getting an apartment with a few friends. I think that's completely off the table. He's thinking I could work anywhere.
Yeah.
He's like, why am I going to spend that money on rent? I'll work anywhere and go on nicer vacations.
Little light bulb went off on top of his head.
Yeah.
That's good for him that he didn't just buy into the...
I'm happy about that.
The whole...
Well, hopefully, all these companies don't decide to cut wages because of... the less commute, and really they're going to be saving money. But I've heard of some instances of companies wanting to cut people's pay.
I could see you can never
underestimate greed.
Exactly.
On the radio, they were talking about what's the dress code going to be now. Everybody's used to
pajamas.
Yeah, is it going to not be so stringent where you work in a law office and all the the men are wearing suits, the women are wearing everybody's wearing business attire. Is it going to be a little more lax now?
The funny thing is, I'll ask Jack, are you on Zoom meetings? Are you on camera? Because he'll come up for a cup of coffee or something, and I happen to be in the house at the same time, and his hair's out to here or whatever, and he's like, "Nah, it's all audio."
Yeah.
He goes, "I just got my earplugs in," and he does analytic work for a bank. And so I was telling the guys earlier that he works way too hard. He doesn't take a break. He doesn't when he was working in the office, he would go out and have a cup of coffee or go get lunch. Now it's 7 to 6 every day.
Interact with other human beings.
Yeah. Now he's just, they're just loading him full of work all the time.
They're good at that too. They'll keep piling it on until he says enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't said enough yet. I mean, he's
at least, like you said, he's he gets paid overtime. It's not a salary where they're you're making this much and we're just going to keep loading you up with. So at least he's getting compensated fairly. Yeah, he works hard. I mean, so that's it. All these people who are still able to work virtually are just so fortunate, Yeah, I think it's been good for a lot of people and probably been bad for a lot of people. Because me, if let's say I had not that I ever could, but let's say I had an office job and I'm used to going into the office every day and having physical meetings, and me, I would be a mess at home. My life would probably unravel. Because when I stayed home, when my sister-in-law and they had COVID, I had to stay home. I can't sit home.
He was coming unglued 2 weeks.
I can see that.
I can't do it. So
what are you going to do with your whole day?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, there's only...
if I could do my work from home, if I could woodwork from home or my job was something else, maybe I'd be okay. But I can't be home
Yeah.
5 days a week.
Yeah. Can you? I mean, I'm not the type of person who can just sit at. I mean, the most depressing thing that I could possibly think of is daytime TV.
Oh God.
Yeah, the price is right.
I mean, that's just the sound of it is like, wow, that's depressing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't do it. I gotta.
Plus, Jeff's a go-getter too. He's got to be doing something. He's got to have aim and purpose.
I have to be making something or solving some kind of problem or.
Well, it's a reason to get out of bed.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's like everybody's, some people have a hard time with that. Some people are better working for other people, and some people can work for themselves.
Yeah. That's what people usually say. Like when I work by myself, for myself, like you do for 15 years, most people say, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I get that.
Like I would be taken off all the time or whatever. And the opposite is really true. I work Saturday, half a Sunday, because you're always worried about. And then if things were slow, you didn't enjoy it because instead of relaxing, you were just worried about where that next job would be coming from.
Yeah. I go to physical therapy on Mondays and Tuesdays for my knee, and like they're talking like, oh, the weekend, this and that. I'm like, I hate the weekend. I'm like, I want to be at work. I just can't sit around. I just can't do it. Like, it's nice to see my son and my wife, but there's only so much to do in the house, and right now, like, you can't really go out.
When you own your own house, when
I'll be working on it nonstop.
When you have a house, then you'll be busy all the time. Like for me, once the warmer weather gets here, this is like a little bit of a reprieve for me. Now that the yard is covered with snow, I can't even do any kind of prep work.
Yeah.
So I am enjoying that, but I'll be busy as can be come, April.
Yeah.
Just getting ready for the yard, and that's the kind of stuff that makes me happy. And I think that's part of just realizing, okay, what do you enjoy doing? Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with enjoying cutting the lawn.
Yeah, like I would love to do stuff around the house, but I just can't bring myself to put anything into a place that's not mine.
100%. When you're renting something, it's like, and I know you're looking for houses right now.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing.
For anybody wondering, last week we talked about it. Dustin actually had the question, did we get the house? No, fell through. Today we found out, but nothing we're not used to, my wife and I.
Yeah, it's a bummer. But something will come around, but that's a bummer because that house sounded like kind of perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they always say like the one that works is the perfect one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's another one like literally one block up from us that we went to look at, and it's $50,000 more than the one that we just missed out on. But we'll see. Maybe we can make a lower offer. It needs some work in the basement, but I don't know. I just want something. I want a project. I think that's what it is.
I think that whatever you get will be great for you.
Yeah.
And great for the property.
The sweat equity that I'm willing to put in is because I just like fixing stuff.
It gives you a sense of permanence. This is the first house I ever owned or really lived in as an adult. And the sense of permanence is a big thing. Like knowing this is my house. I'm going to live here. If I want to hang a picture on the wall, if I want to paint it.
Not to ask anybody.
I can. So it psychologically it changes you. Emotionally it changes you.
I think so. And we looked at a lot of houses, and we had houses fall through. And the one that I was saying that, the one that works out will be the right one.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happened with us. And my house isn't perfect. It's a ranch. Mm-hmm. But I like it. And it's funny, like I've got 4 kids, and as the kids are, eventually going to move out, well, 2 of the boys are now in college. It's plenty of house, it's plenty of house and way more property than I actually need.
But you got that barn.
I got the barn, but I cut the lawn. I'm starting to look for other people to do some of the things because I've been maintaining that property for 30 years.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Or not 30 years, 23 years.
What's the what is it, like a 1 acre, 3/4 acre?
It's just like I think 1.97.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So just 2 acres.
That's a lot to cut and maintain. And
I think when I'm cutting, it's probably 1 acre. If you think of the house and where the trees are and driveway and things like that. But it takes me a while to cut that. But I enjoy that because I got to ride on lawnmower and trimming's a bit of work. Weed whack, the weed whacker.
Yeah, like our house is we're on the wet side, and it's the low point of the street, so it's super wet. So like I would go out in the middle of the summer, and the backyard is still wet.
Jeez.
So cutting the grass sucked. And then like weed whacking, so I'd be so burnt out wading through this wet grass that it would be like every other week. I'm like, I just can't do it this week.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Well, something will come up, and when you get it, I'm sure you'll make it beautiful.
Yeah, and then hopefully sell for a profit.
There you go. Well, I don't know what the market is right now, but I'm sure it's not low.
It's a seller's market.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Inventory is low, prices are high,
Money's
interest rates
cheap.
are low, and it's hard to get a mortgage.
Sounds like 2006.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what happened in 2008?
Yeah.
That was something else.
Yeah. We'll see. It's we've been working at it for 5 years, so
That'll come around.
yeah.
We're going to build a tiny house and park it out there in the yard.
How tiny is tiny?
Got about 1,000 square feet now. I think I go much smaller than that.
Those tiny houses are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they could be a little bit bigger.
For a weekend.
Yeah, they could be a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And then throw a 3-year-old in there.
Oh, God. Give him his own house.
Should we move on to the next question? What do you got?
We got one from another patron. This is from our buddy Rich, the guy who sent us the Pika pencils.
Oh, yeah, which is in my apron. It's actually supplanted one of my pencils.
Yeah.
So thank you, Rich.
If shop space wasn't an issue and you had the bucks, would you get a saw stop with a slider attachment or just get a European slider?
Well, we have a saw stop with the slider, which I'm quite happy about.
Yeah.
And my only experience with the slider, the big slider, I didn't enjoy. I don't like my position in using the saw for anything except breaking down big sheets of plywood. So I couldn't go with the Euro slider as my only saw. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. Like if I had to pick one, I couldn't have both. I would love to have both.
Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah, I'd go with the saw stop. The slider is king when it comes to plywood. The saw stop deals with plywood pretty well. But the cutting hardwood on the European slider, I think sucks. The saw is too big. You have that big sliding wing, so you're standing in a strange spot if you want to cut hardwood. It just
I don't like cutting even plywood on it to certain sizes. You know, it's got that 14-inch blade spinning, and you're like out off to the side because of the slider mechanism. It's just
I've never used one.
disorienting.
Yeah, plywood. Like I said, plywood all day. I'm gonna pick Euro slider, hardwood, and mix of plywood, saw stop.
Yeah,
they're nice because instead of hooking the material is behind the fence.
yeah.
So like basically it'll have thing that sticks out 8 feet this way.
Wow, okay.
So this thing, imagine if this came back 8 feet that way.
Yeah.
And
it's wide.
And you push the plywood here, so you could put a full sheet 8 feet this way, 4 feet this way, or vice versa. Straighten up one side, turn it 90 degrees, then you have a square corner, then set your fence, and you can make your cross cuts. It is nice.
If you got the space.
Blade.
A scoring blade too?
Yeah.
Wow.
But you're talking 20, you need 20 feet.
Yeah, so if you have the space, great.
Yeah.
The space and the money.
Yeah.
Have both.
Yeah, like an Altendorf, they have the digital controls. So you say, I want the blade at 3-inch rip, blade height of 1.5 inches, and a 2-degree bevel. And you plug it in, the fence moves, the blade moves.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's getting pretty high tech.
Yeah.
I think that's too high tech for me.
For
Me
what
too.
we do, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're cool.
I like the Makita track saw.
Yeah.
I do too. I'm gonna get that.
We said it before. We always go back to like what do we do and what can we use to get there?
Yeah.
Like I think we have a pretty good system.
Yeah, we do. We do.
For what we do.
Right.
Maybe not for what everybody else does, but if we were making frameless cabinets like we did at Tom's shop, Tom, I know you're probably listening, then a slider would be what we used.
Yeah.
Even he had 2 unisaws.
Right, exactly. I found myself going back to that one with the wonky blade lowering thing on it.
Yeah. Like the Euro is good for big cuts and then small cuts. Maybe it was just his saw, but small cuts always felt a little sketchy.
Not as comfortable. Yeah. So what's this next question? Is this
It's from Manny.
this is Manny?
Yeah.
All right, too many mistakes on Instagram.
Too many mistakes. I missed an M.
Oh, all right. Work with what you have or buy what you need. That's his question. Are you really saving money on a job by buying the cheapest materials? Manny, this is a somewhat rhetorical question as far as
No,
we
you're just
go.
ripping off the client.
Yeah. No, we always get the best materials we can. It makes your job easier, makes the final product better. And it's not as if that money is really coming out of our pocket. We charge for it.
Right.
If we want to use the best slides we can, we pass that cost on to the client, the end user. We don't mark it up. We just say, this is the slide.
It's what it costs.
Yeah, this is what the best slide costs. It just doesn't make any sense to go any other way. If we could save $100 on a job by using cheaper slides, and then we charge the client $100 less, what's the point?
Plus, it's gonna cost you time, which is gonna be money because it's gonna be harder to get everything to work the way you want it to work. And that goes for slides, it goes for plywood, it goes for everything.
Yeah. You buy shop grade, they call it plywood, or scratch and dent where it got gouged by the forklift and you have to plan.
Now you have to work around it.
Right, you got to plan your cuts and say, we can't use this piece, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you paid $50 instead of $75 for the sheet of plywood. You just lost $25 dicking around. So
Yeah,
you
it's
might as
not
well
worth
just
it.
bought the sheet that was good.
We just talked to the guy from Fez. It's 33, was it 33 or 32 cents?
A square
Right.
for Garnica versus the crappy prefin plywood.
So wait, what's the price difference though?
30 cents a square.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's a no-brainer.
$9 a sheet.
I was talking to Brian. I was talking to him about the same thing. I said, for me, it's worth the extra money. I don't even care if it was, 60 cents a square. I just don't want to deal with a product that's not good. And the other thing that's really nice about Garnica is it's dimensionally accurate.
Right.
So 3/4 is going to be 3/4.
That in and of itself.
That's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So if you're doing dados or whatever you're doing, it's just so nice.
Even just, building a cabinet, okay, 34-inch wide cabinet.
Yeah.
Minus inch and a half.
Yeah.
I can cut my internals and know that they're going to be the right size.
Yeah, because we do all our drawings and then we make the working drawings, and we're not saying that in the drawing, we're not putting that the sheet of plywood's
0.71 inches or...
Because we don't know exactly what it's going to be. So we put 3/4 and then have to compensate while we're actually doing it.
When you start working with have you gotten a sheet of Garnica yet?
No, but next time we buy plywood, that's what we'll be buying.
When you have a couple of scraps, cut a few pieces, stack them up and measure and see what you got. I think I did a stack of maybe 6 pieces, and I think the math would work out to be a full
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5, and that's what I got.
Nice.
I had a connection there with Garnica, and I was working with them as a sponsor for a while, but that fell away. The guy that I worked with over at Blaisdell Lumber ended up passing away, and so that connection ended up passing away. But now that I'm working with Fez, or I'm not working with Fez, but buying plywood from them, maybe I can revive that relationship. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when Brian, our rep from Fez, stopped by yesterday, and we were asking him about Garnica.
Did he just drive up, or did he come with a delivery?
He
was in the neighborhood. I think.
and he called.
Oh, cool.
And he actually parked over there and walked over because I was like, "You're not gonna be able to get down the driveway."
I'm sure he's going to come to the barn one day because we were talking, and I tagged him. I tagged Fessenden Hall in a story.
They
And
have an Instagram.
They do.
Oh, wow.
I looked for it. Yeah, you'll find it now. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, where do you get plywood like that?" Because I was using the Baltic birch plywood. I've got a question about Baltic birch plywood, actually, because I'm sure everybody has to deal with this. How do you deal with the chip out? Don't you seem to get more chip out with Baltic?
You mean on the underside when you're using a table?
Or drilling a hole next to the edge? Seems like you get, no matter how long or splinters or something.
Top veneer.
That top veneer.
It's thick.
Oh, you're talking about pre-fin? It's pre.
No, not pre-fin. The top veneer is a thick veneer. It's like almost a 1/16 of an inch. And it can splinter off.
Probably just need a very sharp countersink, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's what it...
Because we ran into that when we built the benches at the yoga studio that my wife owns.
Yeah.
Out of Baltic.
And you were getting some of that little bit of... Yeah, you're going to get... I mean, I've been using Baltic for more than 20 years, and I've always... that's always an issue, something to look out for.
Yeah. Did you get 4x8s or 5x5s?
I got 4x8s.
I found the 5x5s are actually better
stuff.
quality.
I don't know why.
That's one of those things. Like, there's no good reason for that. But,
Yeah, I don't know.
But like, I don't know
It's
what.
hard to handle those 5 foot wide pieces.
This is the first time I've ever bought 4x8s because 5x5s was all that was I could get.
Yeah, and this is Russian birch. They're calling it.
Okay, which one is they're calling the 5x5?
Both. Yeah, I think they're calling both.
Okay,
it's not like authentic Baltic birch.
You could feel the difference in the weight. I can. I mean, I think
we have a sheet of 1/8" Baltic birch out there.
I've used 1/8" Baltic birch.
Yeah,
I use it for like this kind of artwork thing I do.
Mm-hmm.
The
just like 3 veneers.
Well, the thing with Baltic, I mean, a 4x8 sheet of Baltic is heavy.
Yeah, yeah. It's over 100 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
Is it? Shit, man.
Did
I'm
you
in
have
pretty good shape
footballs
then.
on just one
Just
side?
one side.
Yeah. See, the 5x5s didn't have any.
Okay.
Which
I was
nice.
carrying those 4x8s like from the truck to the barn, and I was like, "Wow, these things are heavy."
Because I
man.
think like a regular like maple is like 70, 72
Is it that
pounds.
much? Wow.
Yeah.
Now the
3/4.
Garnica, you're going to notice that the Garnica plywood is very light
Really? Because it's poplar.
Because it's poplar. Yeah, it's
good.
nice. It's good stuff.
Some of the growth rings, like we use the pre-fin, regular pre-fin on this table saw. Some of the growth rings were like an inch.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, and every piece split because we have ribs going this way and then the top, and we screw up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like almost every piece split.
Yeah.
Pre-drilled.
Pre-drilled.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Brian was like, I don't know. That's like our bread and butter. I'm like, we're a little picky.
Yeah. That's one of those things you use it for a shop project and you're like, I'm not using this again.
Well, we bought it for a kitchen. And
Those are the leftovers.
yeah, I mean, as cabinet plywood, it didn't really have any issues. But again, we'd rather just have something that's better.
For sure. It's just easier to work with.
Yeah. So the answer, Manny, no, don't buy the most expensive thing that you can afford.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. The best.
Yeah,
Buy the best.
yeah, not the most expensive.
I like this next question.
It's a good one.
Yeah, from Adam, one of our patrons. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, Adam says, you've convinced me to invest in a quality low-angle block plane. Do you have any idea why it's so hard to get one right now? I'm going to guess the demand. Veritas, Lee Nielsen, and even Woodwork are way back ordered. Any suggestions on other people who make quality low-angle block planes? Can a quality shoulder plane accomplish some of the same work? Breaking edges and such. Should I get a standard angle? That's, again, Adam, one of our patrons. That plane that I just got, how long did it take? 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
No, not even. You
Yeah,
ordered
yours-
it, and it said it was back ordered.
And then you got it, yeah.
2 days later, they were like, hey, we shipped.
That's right.
I actually spoke to Lee Nielsen through
I
email.
love that plane, by the way. Last week was tool of the week, but it was like first impressions.
Mm-hmm.
I used it to square up some of the doors on this secretary, and I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's sweet. Yeah, I spoke to what's his name, John, I think, at Lee Nielsen, because I was asking about the 1/8 inch chisel, because I want to grab an 1/8 inch chisel. I said, "You guys have any plans on making it again soon?" And he said, like, they've really had to shift around their production schedules with COVID, and I guess they have to have limited people in the factories and stuff. So that's why everything is back ordered. Even machines, I heard people saying Grizzlies sold out of planers and all these different companies. So that's why things are back ordered, because of COVID and
More people
production.
woodworking and less production.
Yeah, I think that probably has something to do with it too. There's more demand because
Yeah.
people are at home, doing hobby type stuff. But yeah, like Rob ordered his and it showed up
2
quick.
weeks at the most.
Yeah. So I wouldn't go ahead and just like get something because you need it now. Like I'd wait and get the good.
Get what you want.
Yeah.
Because it said back ordered when I ordered it, but I was,
Who'd you get yours from?
Lee Nielsen.
Yeah.
Right from their catalog
Yeah,
or their
direct,
website?
Right, direct from them. And just do it. Just order the Lee Nielsen.
Yeah. Don't get a Wood River. I haven't used them personally, but they're made in China. It's just, and the pricing is not that competitive compared to a Lee Nielsen. Or
Get their
Veritas.
low angle block plane, or check out at least the one that I just got, which is the low angle block rabbit
Yeah,
plane.
rabbiting block plane.
So yeah, they're both pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's a nice plane.
And I did use some of my mini planes as well.
Yeah.
They came in handy.
Yeah, and John and Lee Nielsen said, check back in like a month or two for the 1/8 inch chisel. So like they have plans to start getting these things made.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time.
Things are going to start loosening up.
Yeah, it seems that way.
I ordered chisels in when was it? I forget. Maybe summertime, and they were back ordered, and it only took maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they shipped.
Yeah.
So
I ordered
wait.
a Festool CT15, and I just called them because it's been 2 weeks, and they said, "Oh, maybe it will come in a week from now, like middle of next week." And I thought, "Geez, this is kind of getting ridiculous."
It's
Maybe
a
I
new
should
reality that we've kind of been spoiled in a sense where, between Amazon and next day and second day, and that was our normal state of mind. We're not used to waiting.
No, well, I don't order that many tools, and I thought, I ordered this from Acme, and at the same time, I ordered a few things from Rockler for dust collection stuff. The dust collection stuff came, like 3 days later, and then I just didn't hear anything. And I'm just, I'm getting.
Builders probably has them in stock.
Oh yeah,
That's a good idea.
that's where we
got
bought.
those. We went and we said, give us 2 CT15s, a
we went
Rotex
in there and just bought
150.
two.
Do you know what? That's what I'm going to do because I need
Builders
it.
General.
I'm going to call them up and I'll just go there and then I'll have it because I've got some sanders coming and I need
Price
the dust
is the
collection.
same everywhere.
Yeah, I don't care. And plus, it's local.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go.
That's good.
Hey, I'm reading ahead, and this next question I want to know the answer to.
Okay.
John,
This is a good one.
how often do you have to replace a queen bee due to not making it through the winter or hive abandonment? And how many hives do you have? That's Jordan Elridge on Instagram.
Going into the winter, we had 7 hives. 3 of the hives are already dead.
Oh.
Maybe more.
Was that because of weather? Or?
Weather and bees are a finicky thing. It's not easy keeping bees. And I keep bees with a friend of mine named Mike. And Mike has become more of the beekeeper and I've become more of the carpenter who's going to help out and do things. And beekeeping's a lot of work. And I might even take a year off. It depends if we end up having like 1 or 2 hives that make it through. I might just say, okay, I'll do, let me just help out here and there. but then just take some time off because.
Do people view it as something that you just kind of like set it and forget it?
I think with one or two hives you could do that. But it's like anything, you get one or two hives, like, I'll have 4 or 5 hives, and then you get more, and then you get more. And
I just need a 3/4 inch chisel.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I got 10 of them over there.
Yeah. So it's I recognized last year that I spent a lot of time doing beekeeping work, cleaning hives, cleaning frames, things like that. And we'll see. Yeah. But as far as queens, what happens is if the hive starts to get pretty big, the queen might signal that they need more space. And if the queen leaves, then theoretically there should be enough nurse bees and other bees in the hive to create another queen. And but then what happens is you end up with a weak hive. So you want to always try to keep your beehive from swarming. That's what happens when the queen leaves. Half of the hive leaves with it, and that's a swarm. And
where does the queen go?
They look for another home.
So they just fly up into a tree and
they
all kind of cluster up there. Right?
Yep. You end up with they call it is it a bee cluster or something like that? A bee swarm. Where
do you get the queen?
Well, when you're just getting into beekeeping, you go to like an apiary and you buy either a nuke, which is half of a beehive, or you buy, I think it's a 1 pound box of bees that comes with a queen, and you shake them into a hive, and right away they start making a honeycomb to store to start to make homes for not the babies, but the eggs.
What's a pound of bees cost? What's the going rate for a pound?
I think it might be. I think it's 3 pounds. I think it's
man, that's a lot of bees.
I think it's a 3 pound box of bees.
Yeah, that's a lot of bees.
Yeah, it's a 3 pound box of bees, I believe, and it's about $100.
Do those come chocolate coated?
$33 a pound.
Yeah,
that seems like.
There's got to be thousands of bees, and
so it's funny because I started keeping bees in top bar hives, which is a much different way to keep bees, but I really enjoyed that. And then I started keeping bees in Langstroth hives with my friends because I didn't have any success.
What are the
Those are like the horizontal ones?
Yeah, Langstroth is named after the guy who came up with this idea. His last name was Langstroth. And apparently there's like a 3/8 bee spacing in between each frame, and that's the optimum spacing for these bees. And it just makes sense because if you think of you're like a professional bee operation, you could fit 4 hives on a pallet. They can be moved around. They can be brought to different orchards and things like that because the money in beekeeping is not selling honey or wax. It's in pollination. Yeah, so it's really like bringing it from farm to farm for almond trees and things like that.
Citrus.
Yeah, for pollinators. That's what they use them for.
I saw something recently. It's like bees are directly responsible for 37% of all food production or something. Like without the bees, 37% of, and the biodiversity. Like the bees actually created all of these different types of fruits and vegetables due to cross pollination and stuff.
I hear the same things, and I think that that's probably true. But at the same rate, I don't think that honeybees are native to North America.
Yeah, I guess it's not just honeybees, but like even like bumblebees.
Oh yeah, okay.
And like some of like the hornets and wasp kind of things, I guess that go into plants.
Yeah, but isn't that funny though? You always hear about honeybees, and honeybees have only been in North America, I think, for like maybe 200 years, because I think that was a European thing, and so most beekeepers are keeping either Italian bees or Russian bees. So I don't know. There's a lot to learn there. I think I'll continue to do it. We'll see how it goes. But one day when I have more time, I hope to have just like 1 or 2 top bar hives. It's a little bit different. The way you deal with a top bar hive is the bees create their own comb that hangs from a top bar, and you just continually add bars as the hive gets bigger. And instead of, when we go to harvest a hive, we pick like a honey super off the top of the hive. We take all that honey off, honey frames out of there, leaving enough honey for the bees. And then we spin that honey.
What do you?
With a centrifugal force in a honey spinner.
Rolls it out.
Yeah. And the way that you would harvest honey from a top bar hive is you would just go in there and be like, oh, here's a nice a bar full of capped honeycomb, and just take it. So you open up the hive, take that 1 bar, maybe 2 bars, and leave it. You really don't disturb the hive all that much. And if you think about it, the top bar hive is more like a tree where natural bees would be anyway. So maybe they have a better way of fighting things like varroa mite and stuff like that. And you take those, then you take your honeycomb and you crush and strain it. And that's how you harvest that honey. So you just crush it all down, put it through a strainer or a paint strainer, and that's how you get your honey.
So they'll sort of like fill up all the combs and then just move on to another one.
Yeah.
And like, so there's nothing really going on in that one anymore. And you could just take it out. And
No, they just put that there to save it up. They're like a squirrel with nuts.
Yeah.
You know, they're just like saving it up. Yeah.
Here.
So they're just saving that up for the winter. They're gonna need that carbohydrate to eat and keep themselves warm, because they keep the hive warm by vibrating around like the queen. And then they're like penguins, where they just are like a circulating ball.
Oh, wow.
So the ones on the inside that are now warmer work their way to the outside, and they keep kind of doing that throughout the winter.
It's like,
and in order to do that, they need to eat honey.
Yeah. It's like geese, like, you know, they fly in the V, and the one in the front takes the most wind resistance, and then eventually they go to the back and they work in, you know,
just like bicycle riding and drafting.
Right.
Exactly.
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Now, this is a topical question from Chris. C. Chris S. on Instagram. How long do you steam the wood, and does the species of wood matter with bending? Do we know the answer?
Well,
we know the answer to the first part.
I don't know if we're qualified to answer these bending questions, but from what I've seen, an hour per inch is a pretty standard guesstimate. Mm-hmm. So we have 1 inch white oak. We actually steam the second one for
almost 2.
Close to 2 hours.
An hour, 50 minutes.
Now, I think most of these figures are for green wood. This is kiln dried wood, and what happens is the lignin in the wood actually gets sort of set.
Yeah.
So when they kiln dry it, it's baked. So the lignin gets set, and it's not as susceptible to the steam. So you have to go a little bit longer, and that's what the soaking is for. With green wood, I mean, some green wood you can just bend straight away. You just not, without even steaming it, but so yeah, anywhere between an hour to 2 hours an inch, I think, is a common measurement.
We don't really know anything about the differences in species.
No, straight grained wood is what you're looking for. An inch of run out per foot maximum, they say.
Yeah, we'll keep you apprised of that one.
Yeah, you may want to consult some more seasoned veterans.
But you would think, like, if you were just taking this right from a log off the sawmill and then throwing, you could almost do it without.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty
so,
yeah.
You'd
so
see
wet.
The water shooting at it.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't know what it is, like straight off of a cut tree, but like 30% moisture content's probably not out of the question.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because even in this tight bend that we did, there was no like water squeezing out of this.
No.
This thing was soaking for 10 days.
As soon as you take it out of the steam box, like the surface like almost flash dries. It looks dry.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because it's already so hot that, you know, once the steam isn't contained anymore, it's just evaporating. I don't know. We're really just in the infancy of doing any type of steam.
Yeah. We're learning as we go.
Yeah, and who knows? This might not even work out for these.
I think it's going to work.
Yeah,
I'm thinking it's going to work. It looks pretty good.
John's our resident optimist today.
Hey.
All right. So Ethan, Braska? Ethan Braska on Instagram wants to know, can you help a novice woodworker prioritize what tools and skills to start with?
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I would say we're going to talk about hand tools, I guess, because they're accessible and relatively cheap. I would say a Japanese saw, like a Gaikucho 372, which is a dovetail saw, they call it. Super thin kerf. It's a pull saw. And probably a good Western block plane would be a good place to start.
And that was for hand tools.
Yeah.
Did he say power tools also?
Just prioritize what tools and skills to start with.
Yeah, I think those are good.
Yeah. Power tools, your basic drill and driver is really going to be a mainstay.
Yeah, you can do a lot with a combo kit.
Yeah.
Random orbit sander will help
Yeah.
you for finishing. That'll save you a few hours.
What about skills?
Cutting to a line,
Yeah.
marking, measuring.
Mm-hmm. I'd say accurate measuring and cutting is highly overlooked. Like people rely on stop blocks a lot, which can actually be inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can, cut a square end, measure over, and then split your line and do that over and over again,
Yeah.
you're going to be pretty well off because you can't always use a stop block. We have a I don't even know what this goes to, maybe 49, 50 inches. Well, if you're cutting a 7-foot long piece, the stop block doesn't really do you any good.
Do you any good.
So you need to be able to cut to a line on the miter saw or whatever.
Safety, getting the good safety habits.
And take your time in realizing that you can't skip steps. There's no such thing like you have to pre-drill if you're going to put a screw in. Or you're going to split the wood and it's just going to waste time.
Or even worse, break your screw off and then
there you go.
And you have two pieces that are stuck together, not with a tight joint. Two separate pieces with a screw going through them.
Yeah, now you've got an eighth of an inch gap.
Yeah.
And you got to figure, okay.
That's like I did it on this today. And I've been doing this for 10 years now. Tried to put in a screw and find the hole through the metal, and I said, I'm just going to put it in here. Broke the screw off, and now there's a little gap.
Found that head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Luckily, I got the head out. The skills that you should work on are whatever's in the project you're going to build.
Yeah.
So pick something you want to do and focus on that, and then move on to something else. You got to just learn as you go, I think, is the best way.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Master the hand tools, the fundamentals it's not too early to get involved in learning about design and good proportion and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like don't start with hand-cut dovetails. Start with something simple, and then as your skills build, you'll be able to move on to
That's a good way to put it, too.
More advanced techniques.
What did we hear the other day about, was it you, John, or who said, that you should build a project around what you know, but have a certain amount of something that you don't know that's going to challenge you. Do you remember that?
I think that might have just been us that said
Was
that.
that us?
We had that question on the last podcast, how can I incorporate mortise and tenon joinery into my project?
But it was good. It must have been you then, because I probably would have remembered if I said it. I don't know. I'm guessing. Maybe.
But that makes sense because it's increasing your vocabulary, and if you increase your design vocabulary, then you increase your design vocabulary.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing that right now with something as simple as just undermount drawers. I just never use the undermount drawer slides for whatever reason.
And we're finding a lot of people haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you guys have already said, once you use them, you're not going to use anything else.
You don't go
so
back.
much better.
Yeah. And they're not difficult. It's just, when things get metric for me, I start to glaze over.
Yeah.
I'm sure people feel the same way. When, I always get the question, why do you do everything in inches?
Because that's what we do.
Yeah, I know. That's what we do.
They taught us in school.
Sorry.
But, it's funny. Like, I asked you guys a few questions. I asked a bunch of questions. And it's just like, okay, now I know how to do these things. And now if I'm going to, build this chest of drawers. And the funny thing is, I'm building a chest of drawers, and I'm working with a company named GL Veneer, and they sent me 2 pieces of veneer to do this project, and I'm using the white oak because more people. I actually kind of wanted the white oak, but I was surprised that most people were like, "Oh, do the white oak." Everybody does walnut, or do a combination. So I'm going to do a white oak chest of drawers on a walnut base. I think those go well together.
Yeah.
And a very kind of modern look. So now that I've got this piece of Claro walnut, I'm already thinking, I'm making another, like a server or something, and I'm going to use these undermount drawers. And it just, because I know how to use them now, I'm thinking, that's a way I can design around them.
Yeah.
You know? And I think one of the reasons why I'm going with the undermount drawers, because I like wood on wood, is just the fact that I know that the drawers are going to stop and not get pulled out of the cabinet, and it's a shallow cabinet.
Yep.
You know?
They move super freely. Like side mounts, if everything isn't exactly right, they bind up, or they, they have like a lot of slop side to side. I feel like with the undermounts, everything just feels really nice. They slide in and out really well. The soft close works really nicely.
That bedroom set that I built right before we started the company, and it was real craftsman-y and
maple and lacewood.
Yeah, it had a tall dresser and a low dresser, and this guy was really oriented towards the handmade stuff and craftsman era furnishings, but he specifically asked for the undermount slides as opposed to the wood drawer slides, because the ease of use, through the years is just...
And they hold up. You've seen kitchens that have had them for...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And they're, I think they're rated higher, weight-wise than side mounts.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's something like 100 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could load them up with silverware, and... I mean, our drawers themselves weigh... I don't even know, 20 pounds, some of them? Maybe more.
It's nice too, because you don't see the slide, so it gives you that sort of, all right, this is a hand built drawer. You could see the dovetails and everything like that, and the workmanship that goes into the drawer box.
Yeah, I can't imagine like putting a side mount slide on
one of our drawers. Drawers.
No,
it's like sacrilege.
Yeah, those are nice. I was just looking at that. That's a nice drawer.
Yeah, that's how we build all our drawers.
It's all done with a router.
Yeah, and a Keller jig.
Should do a video on that if you guys want to do a video on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somewhere around here, up there.
Yeah, it's up there. And
have two dedicated routers, one with the dovetail bit.
And you just keep them set up like that all the time.
Yeah.
And you always make your drawers out of 3/4 inch material.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not 5/8.
No.
I mean, I'm thinking
it's just a little beefier.
Yeah.
We build 1-inch face frames and doors. Most people use 3/4. So
yeah, we do everything a little bit heavier duty. It's, what is that? 1/8 inch is what, 20%?
Yeah, it makes a big difference, I think.
Yeah. It does.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can see when we plane something to 3/4, it looks incredibly thin to us.
Yeah,
because we're so used to working at 1-inch thickness.
1 inch is our base thickness for so much of our material.
Yeah.
So when you get your material raw, it's at 5/4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be inch and a quarter, or sometimes inch and 3/8.
And you're planing it down here.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we can take the twist out. We can take the cup out. If we want it to be 1 inch and a 1/16, it could be 1 inch and a 1/16, or 1 inch and an 1/8, or whatever. It doesn't have to be, we're not constrained by S4S sizing.
No, that definitely, you definitely have a point with that.
I mean, with the inch over 3/4, that's substantial. That's,
my God.
5%.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
so
huge.
Stronger joints and things like that.
Yeah, we like to build doors with a 1/2-inch panel. You can't do that with 3/4 inch material.
And your drawer bottoms are 3/8.
Yeah.
And are you using Baltic?
Just regular 3/8 plywood.
3/8 plywood.
Cabinet grade.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just what we do, and doesn't work for everybody, but
the 1/4 inch Baltic, I think, is almost like a true 1/4 inch. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, with us, like the 3/8 fits really well with the Keller jig. We have 3 sizes of drawer because you need it to fall in a certain spot.
Sure.
Otherwise, it just doesn't work with the 1/2 inch for the undermount, because you need a 1/2 inch and then 3/8 of a dado.
Yeah.
So you have that 7/8 there where things need to fall within the right spot on the dovetails. So we have like a 4 9/16 or something, and a 6 1/8 and a 9 3/4 somewhere. Those are the 3 standard drawer sizes.
All right.
What's our next one
This is
here?
actually pretty topical as well. Another one of our patrons, Rich, is asking,
Yeah.
if you had to completely redo your dust collection system, what would you change and what would you keep the same?
Well, we're actually hoping to, at some point this year, re-pipe the whole shop with dust collection. It's kind of just, a patchwork now because we moved all the machines around a couple times and added new machines. We have a new machine coming. I think the dust collector we have is maybe a little underpowered at this point. It's like a 1900 CFM. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 big machines hooked up to it. So maybe if we could completely redo it, a bigger dust collector. I think an airlock would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, we have gates on every machine, and that's pretty much how we operate, one machine at a time.
An airlock so that it would just empty itself. So you can actually have at the bottom of the Cyclone, an airlock, which is like who was it? Eric Blake Woodworks explained it, like a revolving door. So this thing, you could set it to 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever. It'll turn and eject the dust out into like just a garbage can. So it remains pressurized, and that seal just turns and empties out.
Wow.
With ours, we have like a 35-gallon.
Yeah.
35-gallon drum underneath, and we have to go out sometimes if we're planing, every 10 minutes sometimes to go out there and dump it out.
It'll fill up fast.
Yeah.
So with that, it'll empty out into whatever size container you have, and you could just dump it at your leisure, I guess.
Yeah. I tell you, the things I would keep the same, probably the only thing I would definitely keep the same is having the underground, under the slab for the table saws. I like that.
Yeah.
I might tweak the design a little bit, but I like having that underneath the floor. I would be curious about going with maybe, if not a bigger collector, maybe 2 collector system, where one is on this side of the shop, especially for the sander.
Yeah.
Because it's got so much fine dust. I feel like it almost needs its own collector.
Yeah, we've learned as we've looked into redoing this that like the way we have it set up is not not ideal. Like really, we should have 8-inch pipe almost all the way to the tool with like a shorter 6-inch run of the smaller diameter. Between a 4-inch and a 5-inch, you actually like double the velocity of the air. So in a 1-inch difference, you double the velocity. So by going 6-inch straight out of the machine, which has an 8-inch port, like we're already kind of screwing ourselves there. Yeah. And we have spots where it goes from 6 to 5, and from 6 to 4. Those need to be sort of tapered and longer. So like re-engineering the whole thing it's definitely going to bring some more efficiency.
Yeah, it's physics.
Yeah. Fluid dynamics.
Yeah. So that's what we do. We'd probably read a little bit more.
I got plenty of time for that.
Yeah. You want to read the next question?
Yeah, sure. This is from John Welsh 21 on Instagram. How do you guys delineate who does what on a build? Do you guys have your specialties, or do you switch back and forth so you're not always doing the same thing?
That's a good question. I mean, it's hard to say. I don't even know how we do it.
We kind of just show up in the morning and do...
We're both kind of worker bees.
Yeah.
So we just do, and I think also we're both cognizant of the grunt work type of thing. So we're never going to let the other person do all that. Like if I've seen Jeff's been sanding for 2 days, there's no way I'm going to come in on the third day and go, "You almost done with that sanding, Jeff?" And likewise.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you just share the work. You know what needs to be done.
Yeah, like just pick something and do it, because every job is quantitative. Like there's all these things that have to get done, and the job isn't done until they're all finished. So when you show up in the morning, either you pick up what you were doing and finish it, or just pick something that needs to be done and just do it. And then that's one thing that's checked off the list.
Sure. Do you make a list like every day, like, oh, that needs to be done? Or
no, sometimes we will. But we used to do that when it was the three of us, because trying to like,
because somebody needed to be told what to be
like, rather than trying to delegate things all day. But I mean, sometimes we might not even look at each other, talk to each other for 2 hours, because we're just so engrossed in what we're doing that we're just working towards whatever it is. And then occasionally we're like, all right, what do you think I should do? And then have that conversation as to what's going to best push the job forward. You know, we intuitively like know what needs to get done. Like if Rob is doing some finishing, I'm like, I know I got to get this done so that he can finish that while he's finishing these other parts. A lot of it's nonverbal and just
that makes total sense, because
there's only two of us.
Yeah, it's only the two of you, and you're both working towards the same goal.
Right. And nobody wants to, I think we're both more likely to pick the less desirable of the jobs left.
There's something sometimes relaxing about those jobs anyway, because those less desirable jobs sometimes don't take as much brain power. Right. So you can kind of think and be like, okay, well, this needs to get done.
I'm just going to sit here and sand.
Yeah, I'm just going to sand and get this done.
You're like, I keep messing up this, like, whatever. I'm just going to put in my headphones, turn the sander on, and just, I can't mess this up. So I'll just sit here with the sander. And like I came in on, was it Sunday? With Hunter, and I just I finished the stuff for the doors so that on Monday they'd be ready for Rob to put together. So
there's something beautiful about doing those little things on Sunday that make Monday go so much smoother.
Yeah, like we'd be a day behind on the, not behind, but we'd be a day, we're a day further ahead on the doors than we would be if.
I love doing things like that on the weekend. It's just like 3 or 4 hours or 2 or 3 hours here. Just makes the week go so much better.
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes like how long it takes to do these little things. Like I finished 4 panels, 4 of the top rail fang assemblies, we're calling them, and 1 part of the back, and it took me 4 hours to do all that.
Yeah. It takes time. That's the thing with woodworking; it takes time. There's nothing quick about it.
No, and especially if you're trying to do really quality stuff, like. It demands that you take time.
Yeah, that time's the least important thing as far as like pushing a job out the door. Like we don't use that as unless a client has a specific demand. The work is what takes precedence, not we have to have this done Tuesday.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, it's different. Like I think when I was first starting making YouTube videos, it was a major push to try to get a project done in a week. But now I don't really put that on myself.
You're working as hard as you can.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like sometimes I'll say, shit, I didn't get anything done like I wanted to get done, but I haven't been looking at my phone and I'm not watching TV, and I'm getting something done. It's just not, there's only so much that can get done
at the moment.
But the other thing too is, I now, when I'm making projects for YouTube, like a furniture build, I can take 6 weeks doing it if it needs that. Just because nobody cares at the end of the day when the video goes up or the piece of furniture gets delivered how long it took if it's not right.
That's right.
And sometimes you need like days of preparatory work, which seems like nothing is getting done, and then you have a day or two where it's like the project goes from non-existent to almost finished because you were doing all this time setting up your jigs or whatever it is. Like when we did those window grills, they were just sticks and all this preparation. and then the next day they were fully assembled.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of time to just wrap your head around what you're doing sometimes.
Yeah.
And it pays off because, you're working through the problems before they happen.
Absolutely, and that's like where I am with this chest of drawers. I haven't even started it yet, but I took time to get the correct plywood and not be building it with plywood that I didn't want to use, and to learn how to use these undermounts.
Mm-hmm.
So now, I mean, it's a chest of drawers. It's basically a box with 3 drawers.
Yeah.
So now that I know how to do that and I've got the material, and I had to wait for the veneer. Now I can just go ahead and bang that out, and I wouldn't be surprised that by Friday next week it should be 90% done.
Yep.
And that's just how things go.
Nice.
Yeah. What's up next?
Yeah, we got the one from Who the 90. I'm not sure what your name is. I tried to find out, but repeat offender on the podcast.
Yeah.
Is craftsmanship higher if you use traditional joinery versus dominoes, biscuits, and CNC?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah. What do you think?
Is craftsmanship higher?
Yeah, is it a higher level of craftsmanship if you're using, we'll say, like through mortise and tenon versus dominoes or biscuits or CNC?
I don't really, that question doesn't come into mind. I just care about the finished product and the design.
Yeah.
However you get there, you get there.
Yeah, like it's not the same design. You're not going to use the same design for something that's built with dominoes versus something that's built with traditional joinery. To me, like if it's I don't think hidden mortise and tenon would be the right terminology, but
Yeah.
if it was a blind mortise and tenon, like you were physically cutting a tenon onto the end and cutting a mortise, and it was blind where you didn't see the joinery, use the domino.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like you said, I don't care that you hand cut it. It is a higher level of craftsmanship, but to the end user and to everybody else, it's still the same thing. It's no stronger. It's no better looking. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like a self-indulgent kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, if you have the time and that's what makes you happy, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But if you have the domino and you just want to get the project done, then do that. Obviously, through mortise and tenon is a different situation.
Yeah, you're going to get a different look.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they call the domino a loose mortise and tenon.
Yeah, or a slip tenon, I think they call it sometimes.
Right, so it's an actual form of joinery. It's just now you have this machine that cuts it. But is it any different than like a benchtop mortiser? I mean,
Not really.
it's you're using a machine to cut a slot or a hole. Is it different from using a drill and then cleaning it up with a chisel? So it's different skill sets for sure. But craftsmanship, I think, as you were alluding to, John, is in the finished product.
Yeah, and how you can best get that. I mean, because no matter what tool you're using, it's going to take skill to use that tool.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to use it correctly
You
or
don't just
incorrectly.
pick up the domino
No.
and instantly make doors with it.
Exactly.
And everything fits, and it's a tool, like a chisel's a tool.
What about a CNC though?
Well, that's another entirely different skill set. That's going to involve more like design strength, where everything has to be
3D, yeah,
forethought.
CAD.
Like
Yeah.
you've pictured this out. You're not working through it at all. You've manufactured this on paper first, and now plugged all this information into the machine. You've positioned, as Manny's told us, you don't just plop a piece of wood on the CNC and press go. It's got to be pinpoint accuracy where
you've
the
got
machine
origins and
or the right bits.
now
So-
that guy that programs the machine, do you call him a craftsman?
I would call him a programmer.
I'm playing, not devil's
Right.
advocate.
Yeah,
but
I would call him a programmer. I would call the guy who might be assembling that, depending on the level of skill required, a craftsman. Like if you're assembling knockdown type furniture from IKEA, which is probably all cut on a CNC. I wouldn't call you a craftsman. You're an assembler.
Yeah.
So depending on the design,
It's like a design engineer. You know, who's ever coming up with that. Right now, for me, it's just beyond me. I for one reason is space. I don't have the space for one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, right now, I don't have any problems with CNC, but right now I just don't have any desire to bring that into my workflow. It's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm saying right now, if I had, say, an assistant working with me who wanted to take that workload on and could show me the value of it and how it would work to help me out, then I think it would be a great thing. And I could see actually using it in artwork. I could see, I see it more in artwork for me than I do in furniture. But right now where I'm at, I'm not thinking that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have to come up with things to use it for, I feel like. Like, it would be good for shop fixtures and stuff like that. Like, being able to design if we wanted some kind of blast gate mechanism, something like that. Because trying to make that from scratch with pieces of plywood and stuff, like, it's a very time consuming. The most of the time is in figuring it out. And then you have to translate that into routers and table saws and band saws and sanding and this and that. So if you could figure it out and then just plug, draw it in Fusion and then plug it into the machine, it would save a lot of time. It would be much more accurate. So I could see it for stuff like that. But the kind of stuff we build, there's just not a whole lot of demand for a CNC.
I don't see it right now. I don't see it, but I have an open mind for it, and I think for me, I have more of an open mind for how I could use it with artwork one day.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to have one. What bothers me, like, I don't have anything against the CNC, but I see guys like using the CNC for things that you could just use regular, like flattening a board on a CNC that's like a 6-inch wide board.
Use a joiner.
Just get a joiner for you can get like a $500 joiner that will do that, and it'll do it 100 times faster.
Yeah.
I think for me, a lot of it is just fear, not wanting to. Fear of something taking up space and occupying time. That's why I say if I had somebody working with me who really that was their skill set and was intuitive to what I wanted to do, then I think there could be some real value. And if I had a market for what I could make with it, then it all makes sense. Right now, for me, it just doesn't make sense. Right now, I just want to make furniture, design and build furniture.
Yeah. Can make those live, laugh, love signs.
Engraved with CNC.
That's what you can do with a CNC?
Yeah.
What's it called? Live, laugh, love?
Yeah. Like you see him, in somebody's kitchen.
There you go.
Or we gather here with like a cornucopia.
There's a market for that.
No cussing, no fussing,
But I think,
no back talking.
I think that Michael's and Bed Bath Beyond already have that market cornered.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Pier 1's closed.
Can't compete with those prices.
You can't. You go into one of those places and you see something for $9.99. You're like, I can't buy a board
We're
for
like,
that.
yeah, but this is made out of cherry. And they're like, yeah, we don't care.
Okay, so this is a good question from Adam F., patron, Far Out Woodworks on Instagram. Thank you, Adam. What are some non-furniture woodworking projects you want to make? Boats, instruments, etc. You got anything for that, John? Non-furniture?
I will say the first thing I ever made woodworking was a skateboard.
That's cool.
That was the whole reason why I wanted to get into skate.
Is that a laminate top? Or?
Solid red oak.
Red Oak's making a comeback.
It's ridiculous. It was a Cadillac.
An Eldorado.
Let's see something.
That was practical.
I want to make some sculptural furniture.
Yeah.
So,
that's kind of a mixture of the two.
Yeah, it's kind of like. And when I think of sculptural furniture, I think of coffee tables with glass tops. So. Maybe was it Osamu Noguchi made that table? That's kind of like the 3 pins.
Oh yes, yes.
But Not, and then maybe just some utensils like spoons and spatulas, things like that. Cutting
the
boards.
spoons out, remember? Spoons
Yeah,
out.
spoons out. Mostly spatulas.
What about a ladle? I feel like a ladle is more practical than a spoon.
It probably is, but it's probably more practical to just buy a metal one.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. I saw Jimmy DeResta made a label once a long time ago, and it was really cool. And I think he put lacquer on it, and it was really funny because in the comments it said, and I'm a big fan of Jimmy DeResta's. I'm sure he laughed about it, and the comments was like, lacquer. It's what's for breakfast.
Oh God.
But it's like it's one of those Jimmy DeResta videos where he just like banged the whole thing out on a bandsaw.
Yeah, he's a master on bandsaw.
He is
with that thin little blade. Because I guess he was like a sign maker.
He's done a million different things.
Yeah, when he was young. So
I think he's still a sign. I mean, he still does that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, he's a master on the bandsaw. I know a ton of different tools. I mean, there's a guy who can use a CNC and make it work for him.
Yeah, he's got every tool in the kit.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
I'd like to make a guitar or a bass.
Yeah.
I played a little bit of guitar, a little bit of bass. I was never any good, but I'd like to make one just for kicks.
Yeah. I've made a few instruments, and there's some really rewarding moments in making that. But sanding those curves where all the burn marks are, on the little horns. Oh God,
I just made those 4 feet.
That's all I could think of.
So that's like 8 guitars.
I know.
You need a little spindle sander.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I probably, how many have I made? 1, 2, 3. I've probably made 6 or 8. I can't remember now. Guitars and basses, and if before I made another one, I would have to make sure I had all my ducks in a row equipment wise, because I'm not hand sanding those parts ever again.
Did you make the fretboards too?
No.
I was going to say that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it is, and it's not. I mean, it's difficult, but they have so many aids and how to lay it out and the fret saws and everything. So it's not that the work is insurmountable, but it takes so much time, and there's no money in it for somebody like me.
Yeah.
So the most I will do for someone, because these are basically gifts, is choose the wood, make the body, wire it all up, drill it all out and make all the cavities, fit the store-bought neck, and, I'll make it playable, but then I'll bring it to a guitar tech who will do all of the small nuances of intonation and everything else.
Wow. I didn't even know there was like such a thing as like bringing it to another.
Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of StewMac, which is like they're a distributor of like guitar making tools.
Stuart McDonald.
Yeah. They have a YouTube channel, and they have this guy, David Eldridge or something is his name. Maybe it's not Eldridge, something like that. And he's like the luthier, and he makes all these videos about like refretting a guitar, and
it's a great resource.
Changing out the tuning pegs. It's cool because it's like woodworking and guitar.
Neat. It's amazing how many great resources there are. Like you just said, that's a great resource. It's like, think about it.
They
today.
have all this stuff like, oh, you want to know how to wire up 2 humbuckers with a push-pull pot to like, separate the coils on the bridge humbucker. Here's the diagram.
I just got off topic because
it's all free.
Yeah.
I just got off topic because I just started thinking we were talking about all the different learning resources. Now, you're a teacher.
Yeah.
And I heard...
U.S. history, my man.
I heard, what's his name?
More interesting every day.
That's right. It'd be interesting to be teaching history nowadays, but they don't let you talk about stuff.
No, I can't imagine. You can't,
You can't say anything.
You can't say anything today. But I heard, who's the guy with the electric car?
Tesla?
Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah.
He was saying that college, you need college to be a doctor, you need college to be a lawyer, but most people don't need college. Mm-hmm. And what are your feelings on that? I mean,
I think college is a great opportunity for young people to socialize and grow emotionally and experience things outside their neighborhood and hometown if they need it, and most importantly, if they can afford it.
Yeah.
It can be an awfully expensive vacation for most kids and a hardship on families and young adults coming out with a non-marketable degree.
Well, that's the funny thing, like a non-marketable degree, because I have a lot of friends who went to art school and graduated with an art degree.
There you go.
And I've gone way further with my non-art degree. I just took a couple of art classes, and I always thought, why are they spending all this money on an art degree or a philosophy degree, or some of these degrees where you're spending so much money on. And I was thinking maybe 4 or 5 years ago, like, maybe this whole college thing will be done by the time my kids get there. But then, of course, that wasn't. And so I'm footing the bill for...
Probably gotten worse.
Oh, it's ridiculous how much, I have this Vermont dream that everybody knows about, but it's on hold until Michael graduates about 18 months from now. And then I can start thinking like, oh, okay, I've got some opportunity to do some things. But right now I'm getting my kids through school. And then I have a reprieve until Olivia goes to school. But I almost think by the time it's time for her to go to college, she'll go, I'm sure. But the need to go to college is just going to be less and less and less.
It all depends. I mean, kids, you're asking somebody who's 18 years old, all right, what are you going to do now for the rest of your life?
Right.
Make a decision.
The next, 45 years.
And then after you decide, we're going to tell you whether or not that's a viable investment for you to spend your $120 or however much it is, $200,000. Like my young friend Christopher, he wanted to be an engineer. All right, there's an investment. He knew he was going to get a job the minute he graduated because he was a dedicated student and he was going into a field that hired people right off, the graduation line.
And it's so highly specialized, and the information is, he needed to go to college to get that information.
Yeah.
So that's an example where, like, you kind of have to go to college. You can't become an engineer on the job.
Right. Now, me, I have a degree in history. I mean, I could have learned all that stuff by just reading the same books I did. I wouldn't have been as enjoyable. You learn from your professors.
Sure.
So there's something to be said for that. But I already knew I wanted to teach history. There's no other job. I mean, what do you do with a history degree? It's an art degree. It's a degree in English. There's no job for that except teacher.
Yeah, no, it's just...
You could write history books.
But if you want to go to work for $32,000 a year as a brand new teacher somewhere and then work your way up, it's a 20-year plan. Eventually you'll make, depending on what city you live in, 90, New York City teachers are making more than $100,000 a year now by the time they've put in their 25 years. But it's a road to go from, I think starting pay was $39,000. That's not a lot of money living in New York City.
No, can't do that.
Getting your few $1,000 a year raises, and if you think it's easy, go get your degree and try it, my friend. It's not that easy.
And deal with those kids.
Oh my God!
And the workload and all the regimentation.
Teaching is a ton of work. It makes me think of like Hunter, who he's 3 now.
Not even.
What the college situation will be when he's ready to go, if it will be necessary, or it's going to have to change.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to have, because my kids all went to college, or they're going now, except for Olivia isn't there yet. But Jack went to UVM. The other boys are going to colleges that are not quite as expensive, but still, it's a ridiculous amount of money.
Oh yeah.
And I was the one who was saying, hey, let's let them go to Brookdale for 2 years.
Mm-hmm. That's what my cousin did.
And then, but
those credits transfer.
Yeah.
And they're way cheaper.
Well, that's what I wanted to do, but I very rarely do what I want to do in my house. That's why I got the barn.
I need a barn.
The other thing I think is they should really start bringing back the emphasis on vocational schools.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Programs where...
Well, all they do is preach about how the workforce for these, plumbing and electrical and mechanical and woodworking and carpentry, that there's going to be nobody to do it.
Yeah.
The young people aren't getting into it at all. So how come they're not? I mean, I don't know. I'm not in a high school. How come they're not pushing these things to these kids?
Blue collar profession still is looked down upon.
That are deeply satisfying and fulfilling, and you actually physically see, look, we made this.
Yeah, that's huge.
You're pushing papers around on a desk and numbers back
psychologically,
and forth.
yeah,
replace it.
You can't. Like, that's the thing. Like, we were talking about,
like your son.
Yeah, who will work
example.
on something and then the project gets canceled, and it's just like, okay.
Or even like if he sees it to the end and they say like, oh yeah, we made this much money, or we closed this deal. How fleeting of a satisfactory feeling does that give you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all depends what you're doing, but if you can see something to finish, and to see it kind of make a difference somehow, then that gives you that feeling of getting something done and getting you, that's what gets you out of bed in the morning, kind of thing.
Yeah, we all have different needs in terms of like the longevity and concrete nature of like what we're doing. Like I need to physically see and feel and be around the thing. Like
we get attached to the work. It's like, it's sad when something gets delivered. It's literally sad.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's sad and then like liberating.
Well, you get paid, but
I just love having the space back in the shop.
Yes, there's all that when you come back and you clean up a little bit.
I don't have to worry about scratching it anymore accidentally.
Oh yeah.
But when you leave, there's this sense of melancholy, when you're leaving the client's home.
And like that sense of self-consciousness and anxiety over are they going to like it? Is it going to be? Does it live up to the expectation? We talked about that on one of the early episodes. That feeling of anxiety when you finally get.
I always have that when I'm working for a client. I always have that because, to be perfectly honest, there's never anything that's perfect.
No,
I've never made anything perfect. You get it close, but there's grains a little bit different here, or something's a little bit different there.
Yeah, you get a crack and you have to fix it.
Yeah,
but you maybe still see something.
You don't point those out.
Yeah, that's like I sent the clients a picture of the doors yesterday, and I haven't heard back from them, and it's burning me up inside because I'm like,
wondering if they
not like it, or like. Meanwhile, I put it up on Instagram. It's everybody's like, man, those look awesome. Blah blah blah.
But you want to hear it from the client.
So it's probably nothing. But
I gotta interrupt you. I just read this ahead to this next question. Now as we always say, we really just see these questions now. Like Jeff types them up, so and he's getting them in, but he's not really paying attention. I generally only see it when it comes to the desk.
Yeah. And
I just read, and this is cracking me up. So, can we move ahead to this one?
Yeah. We got a whole other page full of questions.
Yeah. So this is from Adam P. He's one of our patrons. So thank you, Adam. And he's going to start like this. Please pass along my respect to Jon. There you go, Jon.
Thank you.
It gets better. As a beginning woodworker, I've learned so much from his videos. I love how he makes woodworking seem so consistent with art and maintaining the land on his channel. But I have to ask you two, meaning Jeff and I, a question that really bugs me about him. Does he look more like Nathan Fillion, Jeremy Renner, or Jason Bateman?
You know what I get more than any of those is I get that guy who's the chef who's like always swearing at everybody.
Gordon Ramsay?
I get Gordon Ramsay more than anything else.
I don't know the first guy.
Yeah,
but I just love this question.
That's a good one. So that's what I get. I get Gordon Ramsay. Not that much, but I get it from time to time.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass on the question. Yeah, I don't know who Nathan Fillion is.
Yeah, I'd have to
But that's
look 'em
good.
up.
Thank you. I'm glad that you like the woodworking.
Yeah.
I think Adam has another question buried in here somewhere. I try and split them up when it's doubled.
Right. So that was good. So next question from Brian, Hamlet Woodcraft on Instagram. Are you guys upgrading to the 12-inch jointer soon? If so, can I get dibs on the current setup? Yeah, I mean, we had 25 people waiting in line for the planer.
Man, it was like I had to beat people away with a stick.
Yeah.
People, even the day that the guy was picking it up, what was his name, Matt or Mike?
Yeah.
Did he pick it up? Can I come get it? Did he get? Did it fall through?
And we were cool because we could have easily,
Raised the
hyped
price,
it up
yeah.
and raised the price. But, even though we had so much demand for it, we sold it for the original asking price.
Nice.
Yeah.
'Cause-
I'm not kidding when I said I had like 10 people that wanted to buy it.
That's amazing.
Like people that said, no, I'll pay the full price. I'll come pick it up.
That's a beautiful thing, though, because of Instagram, you're able to have them, sell this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be very difficult to sell under normal
Yeah,
circumstances.
and it
like
goes on
putting
to a good place. And
you're able to DM pictures and all that kind of stuff. Like, imagine
Yeah.
trying to do this like 20 years ago.
old school
Most
way.
of it was actually through Facebook Marketplace.
So there you go. Facebook is where it's at for stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, and I check it constantly for
Really?
stuff. Yeah, that Red Baron hinge boring machine, Alec, who's Alhead Woodco on Instagram, actually brought that to my attention. He's like, hey, look at this thing that just popped up.
We rushed down there in the
Yeah.
morning in our
Nice.
pajamas.
We were like both messaging the guy. I'm trying to think of what else we found on there. We sold a bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah, we sell a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I'm always checking, like, always looking for the old Craig pocket screw machines, Castle pocket hole machines, stuff like that, because they pop up sometimes and they're cheap.
Nice.
It goes super fast.
Yeah.
I got that bench on there for $100.
Can't beat
It's a
that.
Joe Berg bench.
Can't beat it.
No.
We got to rocket through these last questions here.
Yeah, it's getting late. Here's our next one from Rich, one of our patrons. You guys live near an abundance of low-cost cherry. If you were building a cabinet for yourself, for example, a living room built-in, and all North American hardwood costs roughly the same, what would you use?
For a kitchen,
For if you were building yourself something, like a built-in for your living room, he's saying, and you could use any North American hardwood, they all cost the same.
for built-ins, I actually like painted stuff. So I build it with poplar, and I might use some white oak accents.
I think I'm going to go with cherry. I like cherry.
Yeah. It would depend on the room, so like the rest of the colors. But cherry or walnut, right now, that's my feelings today. It could change in a week or a month.
Any one of them I like.
You can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong.
It's going to be based on the design too of the piece.
I do like painted built-ins, just white, just keep it clean and simple.
Yeah.
Or riffs on white oak is definitely something I really like. Really modern.
Yeah, I like the look of white oak. I'm not the biggest fan of working with it, just because it's so
Splinters and
splintery,
yeah.
and it like the square edges are so sharp.
Yeah.
But I like cherry. That's
Well,
my,
cherry's nice.
my go-to.
Cherry's a good wood.
Yeah,
Oh, this is another great question.
yeah.
You read it, Jeff.
From Kevin McMahon, one of our patrons. He wants to know, so what is or was Plan B if you couldn't get the oak to bend as designed? Plan B is still on the table.
There is no plan B.
We're going to keep bending until we get 4 good ones.
I think it worked. I think you're good.
There isn't one.
One of our original thoughts was to, so the...
Oh, yeah.
If you guys haven't seen the
Vent
form...
lamination?
Yeah, that or... so it's basically 3 straight runs with 4-inch radius corners. So it's a C with 4-inch radius corners. We were thinking about making the corners out of, either 12 quarter or something, or a glued up section of blocks, and then we could always skin that on the inside and outside with a 1/4 inch or a 1/8 inch veneer.
That would work. That would work, and it would also. give it a little bit more strength.
Yeah.
You know, that blocking.
Yeah, because you're going to have some type of end grain to end grain there.
Sure.
So yeah, we're still considering. We got our money on this one.
Yeah, bent laminations is the other.
All right. Hey, this next question from Dave, another one of our patrons. You'll find this interesting, John.
Yeah.
Question about bandsaws. If one's not looking to do a lot of resawing, what are your opinions on a 10-inch saw? I'd love to get my hands on a good used 14-inch Delta, the old kind, like you have, John. But they're so hard to find here in Colorado.
I think you can probably, for small stuff, you can get away with a 10-inch bandsaw, no problem.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to use a 1/4-inch blade, and I have to do a little TLC work on that Delta, but that's a good saw.
Yeah,
that's a good saw.
Yeah, a lot of that old cast iron stuff, you just can't beat it.
The older Delta stuff is solid.
If I'm not mistaken, the measurement for the saws is like the throat size, isn't it? Between the
wheel.
Yeah. Oh, it's the wheel?
Yeah, like a 10-inch bandsaw has got 10-inch wheels.
Because to me, one of the things I find most inconvenient is when you run out of space in between that upper arm of the body of the frame of the saw and the blade.
Yeah, the bigger the bandsaw, you know, like if it's a 20-inch bandsaw, it's got more of a left.
So that's why that size is then incrementally bigger. It's related to that size of the wheel.
Like you could get a 10-inch, I don't know this for sure, but you could get a 10-inch saw that has nearly the same resaw height as a 17-inch bandsaw like we have back here. But yeah, from the, what do you call that? The vertical
I don't know.
section of the bandsaw to the blade is going to be smaller.
The frame of the saw.
They have those 3-wheel bandsaws that goes over.
Yeah,
and you get a deeper cut.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the height that you want to resaw is also going to be limited on how much you can joint.
Yeah.
So if you only have a 6-inch joiner, you don't need to be resawing anything taller than 6 inches.
Yeah.
You're going to have to now flatten that edge.
Right.
So think about that part. I'm sorry if we feel like we're blasting through these, but we got to make up some time here, as usual.
Here we got one from Randall. He's another repeat offender, RM Crafts and Customs on Instagram. John, how's the new saw stop? Are you going to make new shop jigs for it?
I love the saw stop. It's just such a nice saw. I'll probably keep using my crosscut sled on the Powermatic. And I can't think of any jigs that I'm going to make at the moment. No, not really. But it's just a great saw. Super nice.
Jordan Eldridge on Instagram wants to know, how much do you use your Powermatic since you got the saw stop?
I use it a lot less. I would say that I will probably use the saw stop 80% of the time now. We'll see. But yeah.
Have you put a dedicated, like a specialty blade on the Powermatic, a dado?
I put a 1/4-inch blade on there, so it's easy to do half laps and things like that.
Yep.
And I'll probably change that from time to time if I'm using the crosscut sled. Maybe eventually I'll make another crosscut sled for the Powermatic, just because I made my crosscut sled, I think, 21 inches deep, and in retrospect, I probably should have made it 24 inches deep, just to, full cabinet depth.
Right. Kind of the same thing we got going. Yeah. Saw stop is the workhorse, and then, the dado blade's in there when we need it. It's there.
Yeah. So nice to turn that saw on. I mean, it's just, for me, it's like the Festool miter saw. You just enjoy using it. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, we're right here next to the saw, and there's 3 microphones right here. You can hear how quiet it is.
Yeah, it's nice. And listen to how it just breaks, like, nice and easy.
Yeah.
I mean, my Powermatic is 25 years old, maybe more. So, it's definitely an older saw. But, you just can't... I just can't say enough good things about the saw stop. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's been great. No regrets here, that's for sure.
All right. Well, that was two birds with one stone there.
Yeah. We got another one here from John Welsh 21 on Instagram. What are the benefits of using veneer and or what projects are best suited for it? I have a client who wants a walnut barn door but has a tight budget. So I was debating using veneer for the panels. Let me know what you guys think. From John.
Yeah. Well, what projects are best suited for it? That's the wife. She probably wants to know when I'm coming in for dinner.
Yeah, I just got the same thing.
Yeah.
I just told her home at 6:30. Okay, so I want to talk about veneer, not so much about the barn door because I don't know if this is the best application for that. But often when I build a cabinet and I use veneer, I get the question, why didn't you just build the cabinet out of walnut or white oak plywood and miter the corners? Mm-hmm. Well, it's not going to be a very strong joint. Right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Second of all, that's not an easy joint.
No, that's
so now
a good point.
I can go ahead and build this box, because it's just a box, out of 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood, screw it together, sand it real good, and then grain match and do whatever I want with veneer. And it's easy, it looks great, and it's going to be strong.
Yeah.
So that's really the thing. It's really easy, and it looks great.
Yeah, you start mitering plywood. How do you fasten? You put dominoes in it, and then you got to try and figure out how to clamp it, or you put Collins clamps, and then you got little holes.
And the corners are 1/64 of an inch thin.
Oh my God! Yeah, I get that question like too often, and I usually just ignore it because there's no. If you have to answer it, it's almost like if you're asking me that question, how can I answer it?
Yeah. I'd say for John, like if you're going to be making a barn door and it has a panel, like it's a frame and panel door, you don't even have to go as far as doing veneer work. You can just get a piece of plywood.
Yeah. Because then you would use plywood.
Yeah, because it's going to be totally captive and there's no joinery. There's more than enough for you to just sand it clean. Plywood comes smooth. It just needs to be cleaned up a little bit before finish.
Yeah.
If you're going for a specific, like you want rift walnut or something, and you can only find it veneer, then it's definitely a good application.
That's a great time to use it.
Yeah, because you can't really find a lot of those.
Yeah, you can get some really specialty woods in veneer, and then you can use those panels as accent panels and things like
bird's
that.
eye maple.
Yep.
Like you have the quarter sawn butternut.
Yeah. And there's just one little note. Again, going back to our meeting with Fez, if you're going to use plywood, like a walnut veneer plywood for the panel, make sure you get two good sides.
Yeah, 1A or 1AA.
Talk to your supplier about that, because one side will look good, and then the other side will probably have all these little thin strips. And it'll look bad on that side. It'll look like a piece of plywood, and so.
Or if you can use two pieces of 3/8 and put the good side both out. And
we've done that in the past.
Yeah.
So a good time to use it is when there's like a rare or distinctive wood or some large flat surface that you want stability, or as a substrate for a more unique. Veneer over the top, ease of joinery, strength. There are a lot of good reasons to use veneer.
Yeah, I like veneer.
It's gotten a bad rap, because it's like anything. If it's used poorly to cover up poor workmanship or inferior materials, that's what people think of. But it's got a pretty storied history, veneer work.
Oh, yeah. All the mid-century stuff, for the most part, is veneer.
Let's see. So let's move on. Here's a question I've been pondering since I started watching Thomas Johnson Antique Furniture Restoration on YouTube. If your goal is to make furniture that lasts for 100 years, should you be using hide glue? Given its reversibility, hide glue is the preferred glue of furniture restorers. That's from one of our patrons, David. Well,
we go back to the old dilemma of what can we do and remain a profitable business.
Yeah, what can you do and what can you get paid for?
Right. So
that sums it up, John.
We've kicked around the idea of going to hide glue. But you know, it has extended cure times and
Yeah, it's a lot.
specific working requirements. We can't add that to the mix.
No
it's
way.
just we're taking.
And a customer would just gloss over if you
Yeah.
started to explain that.
But we're using hide glue. I don't care. Use Elmer's glue. I don't care. You know, these wood glues, they're good for 60 plus years.
I think if your joinery's right and your screws are good and all that stuff, it's not coming apart.
No.
I just don't think it is. And, you know, if it's in a home, it's going... And think about the difference between climate-controlled homes now and even 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so things are just... It's like... You know what's amazing? A lot of the artwork that I make that's rusted steel, I just lacquer over that. And it doesn't... I have pieces that are 20 years old that are just lacquer over steel. The rust just freezes the lacquer... the lacquer freezes the rusting process. And just...
Interesting.
And then you think about, okay, if it does move a little bit, that's kind of part of it.
Right.
So let it be.
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, those are for specific restorations. That's like if you had a real restorer coming in
Yes.
to reverse it and everything like that. So the chances of that happening also kind of slim down
Well,
the
Yeah.
possibility. The things that I've repaired for friends, those things haven't been built with hide glue. Essentially, you're removing the damaged part. So you're cutting off a piece, and then if you have to bore a hole or what have you, that's how you're repairing that. You're not sort of delicately removing something, you know, by heating up the glue.
I also think if something has that much value,
Yeah.
then people will figure out how to fix it anyway. So that's like you can take a painting by Jackson Pollock that was made with oil-based house paint that's now eating through the canvas, and they restore it because it's a Jackson Pollock painting. If it's not a Jackson Pollock painting, then nobody cares and just lets it go anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, so you know what I mean? It's just like it's like people will if it's got that value, then people will
they'll
put the
figure
money
it
in
out.
Yeah.
When you have to look at the context of the future too, because now the people that you're seeing restoring antiques, they're working with hide glue because that's what
Yes.
original fabricators were using.
Yeah.
So let's say you have, which I highly doubt that there's going to be really many in existence, a guy 100 years from now who's restoring furniture from 2021.
Exactly.
There's not going to be much stuff around. He's not going to even probably know anything about hide glue because nobody now is using hide glue to build furniture.
They'll be
There's a
using
very
type
small,
on too.
Yeah.
There'll be no jobs for furniture restorers. There will be, you know, there's not going to be enough furniture around to make that a viable career choice.
Yeah. Hide glue.
Seems like there's less of them now.
There are, of course.
I remember there was always a
Imagine
couple of
50
them
years
around.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, people come to us all the time, ask for restoration, refinishing, and we don't get into it because
Yeah, it's another thing.
All right. Keep them moving.
is this for? Oh no, I thought
No, this is Lyle.
Yeah.
Aaron, A.T. Lyle on Instagram. He wants to know if we could own just one router, what would it be? Everyone pick their favorite. Plunge, fix, D-handle, combo. Well, combo, that's kind of cheating.
combo kit. Yeah, I'm gonna go with. We have a Festool OF1010, but I want the bigger one that takes a 1/2 inch, whatever that is, the 1400.
Yeah.
I haven't even used it, but I know that that's the one I want.
I second that opinion. I've never used it because it's expensive and we don't have it. But
We have the small one though.
we might get it. We might get that router.
Yeah, why not?
That's my choice because I love Festool.
I'm just going to say I love my little Milwaukee handheld router.
Yeah,
D-handle?
Just a little straight, it's a mini
18
router,
volt,
whatever.
quarter inch.
Ah.
Yeah,
Cordless router.
I had the Makita one. That thing's
Yeah,
awesome.
I
that
just
thing's
use
great.
it all the time. It's
Yeah.
just so easy to use. Zip a quarter round or a chamfer.
I'd like to actually like replace the 2 corded routers that we have with 2 more of those.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I grabbed that.
And set it up with the bits so you don't have to change them out.
Yeah, like we keep a chamfer in one,
Yep.
and a round over in
Same
another,
here.
and then that's it. I got a flush trim in that one.
Yep, that's what I want to do. 3 or 4 of those.
What about you, Lyle? Let us know. Here's our friend Ira Jan.
Suspect Bucket on Instagram.
Do you go to historic houses and museums to study furniture? And where's the coolest stuff?
Well, we found it in that magazine book /book.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's funny because while we were fooling with the bending of the oak today, the three of us discussed the potential trip out to Falling Water, which
Yeah.
I don't know. What's that? About 8-hour drive, 6-hour drive?
Is it
from
that
here?
far?
I don't
Wow.
think it was that far.
How far is it?
That
to
might be
Pittsburgh?
because it's near Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's
yeah.
about 6 hours.
The thing about Falling Water is you have to go on a lot of small roads. That's
Yeah.
why I think I looked.
That sounds
up
like a
before.
3 or 4 day
I
trip.
know it's been closed.
But you know,
That's a
once,
write-off.
once this pandemic's under control, that's something we're probably going to do.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you said somewhere else though too.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Nakashima, and then I also want to go to Craftsman Farms, which is in it's in North Jersey. You know, it's like Stickley had Craftsman
Okay, cool.
Farms there.
Yeah.
It got damaged in the tropical storm Isaiah. That we
Really?
had all
Oh.
that wind like back. When was that? I don't know.
It was like in the summertime.
Yeah. Where people were out without power. for
Yeah,
like
I was
12 days or something.
without power for over a week.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So they got some damage during that, and they were closed. And I guess maybe with COVID, they're probably even
Yeah.
double closed somehow.
Double secret probation.
Yeah, I haven't gone anywhere specifically, but when I do go places, I'm always looking around. I even go places that don't have cool furniture. I'm looking around.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, in people's homes, you know, every time you go somewhere new, whether it's, and we go less and less to places nowadays,
Yeah.
but you go out to eat, you're checking out the reception desk.
Yeah, like the hostess stand.
like when we went to see the accountant, first thing we started doing is like poking holes in his furniture.
We're like, yeah, you
know,
got a
like,
cheap desk.
You can't help it. That's what
Yeah.
you do.
Sure.
I was helping my father-in-law, Jamie. He's a carpenter. On a house in Monmouth Beach, and they had 2 Wegner wishbone chairs. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I mean,
I think I saw them. Did you post them in a story?
Yeah,
or?
they weren't real Wegners, but
But there's
Either
again,
way, it's a
yeah,
cool
they're
chair.
just cool chairs.
yeah.
All right.
And I was inspired by seeing them.
Yeah.
I've seen them before, but seeing them in the flesh and gets it back in your head.
I saw some great chairs in this book that
Yeah,
I want
I'll
to
take that.
use the domino to kind of rip off that
That's
design.
low craftsman.
All right. we got to get John out of here in the next 15 minutes.
We got our buddy Kevin coming in with a question. He wants us to discuss providing quality and craftsmanship while still keeping a project affordable and profitable. This is something we've been hitting all episode. Where are the areas you try and save a few man hours, and where are the areas that you make sure are absolutely perfect? For example, are you sanding the inside of a carcass to 220, or are you going to 100 and calling it a day? From Kevin.
That's appropriate. This secretary has got a lot of big, broad, flat surfaces. We chose to sand to 180 for this particular finish. And that's what the sample was.
Yep.
And every area, including the top, which even though you're not going to see the top at all, it's sanded to 180 and finished. Even the bottom is sanded to 180 and finished.
It's kind of weird putting finish on something that's not sanded.
Yeah,
That's
it
the thing.
doesn't work the same. So yeah, I may not spend as much time.
Yeah, if there's like a
making
little
sure it's like
smudge or
swirls or
something.
whatever.
Yeah.
But typically we'll go through the whole piece. Maybe the back of the back doesn't get finished or something like that.
I finished the back of the back.
So there you go. There's your answer. We're a little bit insane. We try to price the job knowing what we're going to do.
That makes sense.
We know we're not going to cut too many corners. We know all the stuff that goes into it. So we don't say, we could get this done in 3 days if we don't do it the way we usually do it.
Yeah.
We go, no, this is going to take us 5 days because this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I'd say we save time on like making sure that we do things efficiently and stuff
Right.
like that. Not so much on the actual details of the piece.
Try not to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Try to communicate.
Have all our ducks in a row. Make sure all the materials here.
Be
stuff like
thorough.
that.
Anything to add there, John?
No, that's pretty much what I do. I mean, I'm this chest of drawers that I'm going to build. I originally was going to veneer the back of the cabinet, but now I'm going to build it so the piece of plywood that I use for the back will not have any plywood edge on it. That will be a solid piece.
So plant that straight on the back.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's just built differently. And I'm doing that. It's a 32-inch tall piece. And maybe one day it will not be against the wall. Maybe it will be a room divider.
Right.
I don't know.
Viewable from all sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like that. Just try to, and it's just taking pride in your work. You know.
We're insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the top, and you can look over here and see that.
Look at that glue up. It's beautiful. That's 2 pieces on the bottom.
We measured it.
Like
We measured
where
it.
it goes rift.
Yeah. Look at that.
That's nice.
I mean, you're not even going to see the inside of that board either, probably. But
Yeah, I mean, you should see the countertop on the base section that's covered up by that very top thing there. It's like, so there's a countertop on top of the countertop, and you only see about 1 inch, and it's all solid cherry.
we had to cut holes in it for the sink.
I mean, it's beautiful.
Nice. That's just.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah. You're better off doing it.
And
you know.
Yeah.
there's no other way to do it and get the right. What are you going to do? Make faux edges on the side or end grain? No, come on.
Yeah.
So, hey, this question's for you, John. You have a background and interest in steelwork and sculpture, and I was curious if it's something you are still fond of. I asked because it doesn't feature much on your channel or Instagram page. Is it something you're still interested in? I'd love to incorporate steel and other metals like brass at some point into my builds. Is that something that interests you at all? For the Greene Street crew, are you guys keen to incorporate steel frame or other types of metal into your builds? That's Miles, one of our patrons at Eat, Drink, Wine Guy on Instagram. All topical.
Yeah, coming all the way from Australia.
Nice. I like working with steel, or I used to. I just kind of pick my spots and stay in my lane right now. If one day I have a big shop and I can have a separate shop for a metal shop, I might do that, especially if I had an assistant who could help with it because steel gets heavy. It's also nice to be able to separate a wood shop from a metal shop.
Yeah.
And when I was young and going to art school, I worked with my professor was Jay Hooley, who was a pretty well-known steel sculptor. And so I got into that and learned about David Smith, the pretty famous steel sculptor, and Sir Anthony Caro. And I just was into that. So, of course, the sculptures that you see in my yard are directly inspired by David Smith and Anthony Caro and Julio Gonzalez, who taught Picasso how to weld. But I just don't have the time to do it as much anymore. And then the steel that's in my painting, that's mainly two-dimensional. So it's really, I'm not treating steel as much as a way to fabricate with it, but as a surface to paint on and for what it will do.
Good point.
Yeah, so it's a different way of working with steel. And in that case, I'll use steel, like a ferrous steel that will rust, and then rust and aluminum. And there's different ways to use them, but often I'm using them with contact cement and just mounting them right to the substrate. And if you're working with steel, then you can't use the woodworking tools, but if you're using aluminum, you can. So trim router and things like that. So in short, I'll probably continue to work with metal on a two-dimensional way as far as painting, and not in the foreseeable future in a three-dimensional way.
All right. You could answer. You drew up the design for the latest job that was a lot of metal and glass.
Yeah, we have a potential job. I don't know what the status of it is yet. It's up in the air, last I heard. It's a steel and glass wine cabinet. And we'll do some type of wood supports for the bottles. But buddy Manny, who's a welder, metal fabricator, he'll be taking on the metal fabrication on that if we get the job.
That's 95%.
Yeah.
metal and glass.
There's other
5% wood.
other pieces in the room that we may do as well. But I mean, we've been trying to integrate some metal into jobs for since our inception. Because we want to get Manny involved, and B, we like the aesthetic when it's done tastefully. again, it's one of those things where like a river table with a metal base.
I don't care about it.
Yeah, so you got to use it. Don't just put it in there because you think it's cool. That sounds weird. Don't just put it in there because you see everybody else putting it in there. Use it when it's
appropriate.
Yeah, appropriate, and fits with the overall design aesthetic of the piece.
Yeah, when it's inspired.
One of my favorite finishes for steel, and I can see it in steel tables and things, and it's not like your square tubing where then you just paint it black and then you put a slab on it. It's maybe found objects or something welded together and then rusted, and then has a beeswax finish burned onto that rust. That just goes, the color, it's not a hard finish to make, so you let it rust for a couple months and then sand it with maybe 120, and then just bring the torch out and burn that beeswax in there, and that's a beautiful finish that will stay really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we love metal. We love the idea of it.
Yeah.
I did one project 15 years ago with metal. I found a blacksmith who I gave him a form, and he hand hammered these, hoops, staves for this round front desk that I made. It was a great experience, except finding a blacksmith was a chore, and then getting him to stay on schedule.
That's a whole. If you had another building half the size of this building out here, with a welder in it and an oxyacetylene torch, you could do a ton of things.
Yeah, so
yeah, it's like everything else. The CNC, I would love to have every single one of these things. I'd love to have a metal shop and a leather working thing, but again, we
have trouble getting through the day as it is.
I think that's the kind of thing that will happen naturally
in Vermont.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let's go to Vermont. Let's all go to Vermont.
Yeah.
I think it will happen naturally, and you'll actually make things instead of just trying to push it forward. And because again, like that square tube table base is just that.
Yeah, it's done.
It's just that. I mean,
like a trapezoid. Always a trapezoid.
And I think that the idea of always trying to make something elegant, that's the highest thing you can do. Yeah. And I think the hardest thing to do is to really critique yourself and be honest with yourself. And if I'm the person who's got to be happy with it.
Yeah.
I gotta be happy with it. And my wife's got a pretty good eye too, and she won't let me.
In fashion, she's probably used to looking at stuff with a discerning eye.
I'll use her eye too, and I'll be like, "Is this right?" And she'll be like, "Is that maybe a little bit heavy or whatever?" But you just kind of like the difference between elegant and kind of clumsy is often very small measurement.
Yeah, like if you're 100% satisfied with a project when it leaves the shop, like you're probably not trying hard enough.
Do you remember happening?
I can't think of one.
Yeah, you're right.
I can't think of one, even to the smallest little thing, where I was like, that's 100% perfect.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, you go back and you look at that piece 5 years, 6 years from now, you're like, wow, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah. They hold up. I mean, we've been in the houses and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, that still looks pretty good.
Yeah. That's the thing.
But it's
you're not. You got to push yourself, and if it comes out perfect, then that means that either you got about as lucky as you could ever get in your entire life, or you're not pushing yourself enough on that one.
For sure.
But we'll see. Maybe this will be the one.
Yeah. So let's start with the wrap up.
Yeah.
What are our thoughts on the beer of the week? That's you and me, because John brought it.
Man, that was ages ago.
Yeah, we had 1.5 pints each.
Yeah.
No, 1 1/3 pints each.
Yeah. Very good.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clean, hoppy. It's nice.
It's a good beer, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
I haven't had any
one.
of the Twin Lights yet.
Yeah, they're good.
What's the scent?
It's not cheap. I think this is
aroma?
Piney kind of. I put a piece of gum in there, so it smelled like mint. I'm like, that doesn't smell right.
It's nice. It's
all these beers are expensive though. I think this was $14 for. That's about what it is.
That's the new going rate.
Yeah.
But it's a good beer.
Actually, I have a Ross in there that you should try that we had last week. The Goza Berry. It's good.
I'll take it with me if you don't mind.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you have to stay here and drink it right now.
So,
the tool of the week will be the push stick won't be there, but I'll put the socks down.
You know
there
what?
in the
I'll leave it
description.
here if you want to, because I don't need it. I have, trace it. Yeah, I'll leave that, and I'll take this one if you.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one you see got a nice round over with the
Yeah.
that the router was set too deep and
Gives you a little more grip.
no going back after
Yeah.
you started.
On a push stick.
So yeah, we'll have the socks down in the description. Follow us on Instagram and subscribe on YouTube. All that. You can send us some messages with questions. If you want to help support the podcast, we're on Patreon. And usually we do like an hour after the show for Patreon, but we're gonna have to figure something out. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow.
We'll come in the morning, and we'll over coffee.
Yeah,
There you
Let's
go.
go do it. Thursday morning coffee
Morning
session.
brew.
Yeah.
There you go.
Should we thank our patrons?
Yeah,
or-
thanks to our gold tier patrons: David Murphy, Manny Sirianni, Dustin Fair, Adam Pothast, and David Schumacher.
All right. Thank you, guys. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed the podcast as much as we did. Having John here
That was fun.
a special treat.
Yeah, and big thanks to Matt, who was
He's still there.
there.
I'm still here, boys.
How was it?
It was absolutely awesome. I really appreciated being here. I obviously wasn't there for every single second of it. I was working, but I tuned in for probably 80% of it. So it was great. The end was honestly the best. You guys got through a bunch of stuff, and it was great.
We appreciate it, man. Hopefully you'll be joined by some more people next week.
Hey, it'll be growing. No doubt about that. I'll see you guys on here again soon. Thank you.
All right,
Take
brother.
care.
Hey, good talking to you, Matt.
So that was Matt. We're over on I'm gonna end the room on Clubhouse, which is this new audio-based social media thing. It's invite only and iOS only right now. So if you can get on it, we'll be I'll try and do this every week where you can
Yeah.
listen to the podcast live
And chime
That's so
in.
cool.
chime in. Yeah.
That is really cool.
So rather than do like a live stream on YouTube or something, we'll do it right through here, and you'll be able to hear it as it's coming straight out of our mouths.
Cool.
Neat.
Well, we appreciate everybody. We'll see you next week, episode 25, 1/4 of 100.
Yeah, 1/4 of a century.
Yeah.
Good stuff, guys. This was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thanks so much for having me.
We got to get John back home for dinner.
Take care, guys.